Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I've got my tea going. It is Saturday and I'm tired and I want nothing more than to either go back to sleep or to go outside and sit in the sunlight in a beam of sunlight and maybe read a book, maybe just stare into the wild blue yonder and smoke some weed and chill the fuck out. And I'm not gonna do that because I have work to do. And the reason I have work to do is because I've been messing up the work that I have to do, which is a problem. I've been trying to overload myself. I've been doing the Daily Brew podcast, and I've been trying to do the episodes of stuff, and it's a mishmash, and I'm not good enough. I'm not enough, actually. I'm not enough. I have not enough hands and enough eyes and enough speed at the processing of doing all this stuff, or enough time to make all of these things happen at once, and we'll figure it out. And that's what we're doing. We're failing fast, right? How cool is this? It took us less than a week to reach a state of semi-tenable failure. Like, things are going wrong. It's like, okay, cool. Got to fix those things that are going wrong and figure out what's not working here. But there are things that are working here, so there are things to save, and there are things that... Okay, great. So today, I'm going to sacrifice my desire to go sit out in the sun and smoke some weed and do nothing for the day, which would be great. It's really what I want to do. And instead, I'm going to watch Cyberpunk Edgerunners, because that's something else that I really need to do and want to do. I mean, I want to do it just as much as I need to do it, and I need to do it more than anything else, so time to do it. I've said in the last couple of videos, pain is the difference or the distance between now and never. And I think that's true, and it's something that I came up with. Maybe somebody else came up with it before me. I don't know. It could have gotten incepted into my brain, but I think it's an original Teeaboo thought. Pain is the distance between now and never. It's an original Teeaboo thought. Nice. I think it's true. And so, pain. Let's do it. Cyberpunk fucking Edgerunners. Hey, talk about pain. How about a world that is defined in its relation to pain? Jeez. Most of the people seem to be running away from their pain. Some people seem to be running right toward it and trying to cause as much of it as they can for other people. Some people seem to be trying to gather as much wealth as they can as a barrier against pain, and in the process, they're exploiting and destroying the individuals who they take the wealth from. So there's some pain in this world, and that's pretty cool, because pain, I think, is a fundament of our actually real-world existence. At least if you listen to the separate philosophies of the Buddhists and the Christians and the Taoists and the Muslims and the Jews and the pretty much every theology that I know, and the Hindu, pretty much every theology and mythology that I know of says essentially pain exists and you're gonna hurt, and maybe you could get reincarnated in a way that would reduce your suffering, right? Or maybe if you followed the Eightfold Path, you would realize that you are not separate from your reality, and that would prevent the friction of pain with reality. And can you tell that I like Buddhism? It's because I've studied Buddhism. I mean, like, formal training, college, university classes, high-quality lectures and teachers. Love that shit. It's interesting. I've been compelled by these mythologies since before I knew what they were. And Imaishi's writing one. It's a mythos. It's a mythology. Otherwise, we wouldn't put millions of dollars into animating it. It means something. And Imaishi's a good goddamn captain to show what it means. And CDPR seems to have made a cool game off of a cool world that has some cool criticisms of our real world that are valuable and correct. And over the top, and extrapolations and extensions and things that are, like, maybe not correct. Maybe not. I think episode 1 of Edgerunners was pretty fucking rad. From an introduction to a corrupt world to a real personal introduction to the direct and visceral nature of that corruption, and how deeply depersonalized and inhumane it really is to live in a world that doesn't care about you one bit. I think it was a damn good episode. And now, our character, who has had a bad time, I mean a real bad time, he just lost everything. Everything of any value to him, he just lost it. And now he's got this little piece of power that he's holding on to, and he's gone to the dock and he says, "Put this shit in my body. Gimme." I was thinking about that in context. It was like, well, it's like a lot of critics of the society that we have right now. Part of the issue is that power is the thing that corrupts, right? It's the thing that is evil. And so when you're young, you try to stay away from it. And this is what I tried to do for years on my channel. It's why we're currently in conflict, is because I spent a long time being apolitical, like anti-political, and just no talking about that at all. We're here to just talk about anime. And that doesn't work because stories are about being. And so we have to discuss being, and talking about how being is. First off, talking about how being is no longer a scientific debate. It's partly a political debate. And talking about how being should be is always a political debate, because that's the question of how should we act, and how should we act collectively. And so we need to talk about these things to some degree. And so I can't let it go. But power, we view very often as that purely corruptive force. And so it's like, I want no part of that. I want no part of talking about it. I want no part of dealing with it. And then the world crushes you so much that you go, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take a little bit of corruption in order to create some change. And that's where David's at. He's like, yep, put that cyber psycho bullshit in me. And he knows that it'll make him crazy if he goes far enough with it. Put that cyber psycho bullshit in me. Let me become a little crazy. And I'm going to make some changes in the world. I'm going to see if I can get some power, and I can maybe prevent some of this bullshit. Maybe I can do some stuff on my own. So what does that make me expect? Well, I expect that first off, we're going to start off with that process of integrating the mechanical power with you, and that's going to be disintegrative, because to change, you have to die. I mean, you have to hurt a lot. And so I expect that there will be a nice, visceral, gripping scene, just like the scene of Ryuko getting totally wrapped up by Senketsu, a visceral, gripping scene of David engaging with his power and dying and hurting. And it's going to look like pain. That's what I would expect. And then I expect he's going to do some stupid shit. Kind of like Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, when he gets the power, he gets bit by the spider. He integrates with the thing that's most different from him and is power, and is from the corporation that's evil, right? So it's all mixed up. That's Peter Parker. Because Peter Parker's a good myth. An old myth. The old tales of Spider-Man, yes. Come here, Jim, and buy me a drink, and I'll tell you a tale that'll make your blood run cold. But Spider-Man's a good myth. He gets bit by a bad thing that's scary, that is also science, that also comes from the evil guy. He gets bit by that and poisoned by it, and he gets miserable for a while, and he wakes up better than he was, and then he does stupid shit with it, like catch all the plates and chase down a bus, and does stupid shit with it, because of course he does, and leaps across buildings, and explores his power, and figures out how to dance, and then discovers that there's real bad stuff against him, and now that he's got this great power, he's got great responsibility, and there are ways that he needs to exist in order to not be more of the problem. Because when you gaze into the abyss gazes back, and when you fight monsters, you become a monster. And so when you fight power and corruption and capitalism, you become powerful and corrupt and capitalist. Almost inevitably. Like, really, really think that through. Think it through. So, look at every primary socialist revolution in history. Every single one of them has established a dictator and an oligarchy of people who were like, we hate this system of oppression and power, and then they immediately install themselves at the top of the hierarchy of a new and worse system of oppression and power. So far. Now, not to say that theoretically it couldn't work, but in reality, when it's been tried, it hasn't worked. And granted, given my adherence to science as much as I can, that seems like a reason to dismiss the hypothesis. And I'm going to read a bunch of the hypotheses soon. I've got them on the way still. I don't know why they're not here yet. I'm gonna read them, and we'll see. But you gotta be really careful that you don't become a monster, or perhaps become a cyber psycho when trying to stop the cyber bullies, because it seems pretty easy to become a cyber psycho in this world. But he's gonna get this little bit, and I think he's gonna fuck it up. He's going to come up against real enemies that are really strong and scary. Maybe murderers, maybe a bully, maybe an evil person, maybe something like that. But I think he'll probably do something fun for himself, like go and take out Katsuo, or like beat him up and be like, haha, you know, and stroke his own ego a little bit, because he's dumb, he's a kid. And then somehow he's going to meet the girl in their squad, and somehow he's going to get involved in something bigger than him. And that's what I expect from episode 2. And I'm happy to be totally wrong, but I'm just putting it out there because I haven't seen the episode yet, I promise. I haven't seen any second of it, I promise. And That's what I'm thinking I would do with this story, with the elements that we have. And so we'll see how wrong I am, because I'm at least 50% wrong. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'm about half right, but I'm at least 50% I'm totally wrong. And that's totally okay. This way you know where I'm coming from and how is my understanding of media and Demaishi? What do I think is going to happen? What would I start writing out if I were writing a thing like this? And I've done it in very broad strokes, which is partly like doing the horoscope thing where you're like, you will have a good day or a bad day. And the horoscope, the astrology lover is like, oh, that's so true. It's like, yeah, it is. Wow. You know, it's sort of an idea of where David says, I want this thing in me, and we're going to get a scene of it going in him, and it's probably going to hurt. That makes sense, right? It's not the craziest supposition. But the arc that we're on, or the narrative that we're on, might be a different narrative than I think we're on, and we might not be telling a superhero story. But I think we're telling a superhero story. At least that's what it looks like when we see the poster, and we see this character standing up against the monolith of institutions, and the negative space dropping down a pyramid down below him, and then he's a pyramidal arrow that's directed toward it, and he's got light in his hand, and a thing on his back, and his mom's coat that's like a cape, but it's his mom's coat. It's the superhero coat of being an average nurse. And she's not Trauma Tech, and she's not Trauma Team, and I realize, and we're going to go through some comments, and we'll hem in some of those misinterpretations that I had, because those are helpful, and I appreciate those. But it's the superhero is the normal, but being normal isn't enough to be a superhero, right? So he's got that, and then in the poster, his hand is emblazoned with light, and he's carrying the future in his right hand, and it's intersecting light because it's at the point where things are balanced that there's like something of value, and he's standing up against this big monolith, and it's a good poster, and it tells me that we're in a superhero story. I think, and I'm glad because I said before in a different video, I don't think superhero stories are good. I have a problem with them. There's an element of, gosh, I just wish I could get saved by somebody better than me. Gosh, I hope that the Tony Stark billionaires come and save me because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. Gosh, I hope the Hulk through science and brute force saves me because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. Gosh, I hope Hawkeye, who's just a dude who shoots arrows and has a family, which is an important thing, but gosh, I hope he saves me. Or gosh, I hope the military and Captain America and Nick Fury save me, because I'm just the cowering masses and the aliens are too scary. It's like, fuck that shit. What about superheroes who started like you, who are the everyman, who are the shonen protagonist, who are you? That's what we need. We need more... We need less of, oh gosh, please save me, and we need more origin stories. We need more, so you came from this struggle and trauma, and it turned you into a powerful entity that was able to wield new powers against the world? Oh, that's good. Like every superhero story is Phosphophylaito from Hoseki. Every single one is like, oh, you got broken by something, you got thrown into a vat of acid, and now you're Acid Man, you've got acid powers. Or you got bit by a lion, and now you're Lion Man, you've got lion powers. It's like, what is that? It's the same as the ancients eating the heart of a lion and being like, well, this is part of the thing. Maybe if I eat it, it'll make me strong like lion. It's dumb, but the truth that we realize is that eating the lion doesn't work. It makes you live, but it doesn't make you strong like lion. Getting bit by a lion makes you strong like lion, because you know how strong a lion is, and now you're like, shit, and you're gonna train every day to not get bit by a lion again, so you're gonna be strong like lion. And the same is true of toxins and poisons. A little bit of toxin over time lets you get to the poison, and the same is true for psychological toxins and fears. A little bit of exposure over time gets you closer to the thing that you need to be and gets you stronger, and you incorporate the thing, and you push up against the wall so hard that you smash into it and it becomes a part of you, and the wall no longer restrains you, because the wall was a fear of heights, and you get, you stand on a stool, and you're like, well, this is fine. And then you stand on 2 steps, and you're like, oh, this is a little scary. And then you climb up a set of stairs, and you look over the balcony in a 2-story house, you go, oh, that's too much, you go away. Okay, but then you come back to it, and you just peek over the edge, and it's like, okay, you can manage this. Okay, enough for today. And then the next day, you peek over the edge, and you lean over the edge, and it's like, okay, you can manage this, whoa. We expose you to the poison a little bit, and you become strong by it. And David's going to take a little bit of poison into himself, because we know that the cyber stuff is poison. We see the people on the streets who are dying of poison, getting jerked off by the Noom devices, you know, and watching their VRBD sex tapes and shit. But they're poisoned. They're not living, right? So we know that this cyber stuff is poison. We know that it can cause cyber psychosis, and I would assume that that's the more cyber tech you have in you, the more likely you are to go fucking crazy because you're not whole anymore. And that seems to track. It's like, the more that time that you spend on the internet and not talking to real people and not exercising and not doing stuff that your body needs, the more likely it seems you are to kill yourself in our world. Sorry to put it so bluntly, but that seems to be accurate. Now, the internet can be a fantastic bastion for hope and communication and all these glorious things, and I'm trying to make my little corner of it to be as much of that as possible. But your body exists, and you can't disharmonize from it. Can't treat it like shit. You can't treat meat space like it's the gone past. I had to realize this because Accelerando, the book by Charles Stross, that is, gosh, what a book. I need to buy it. I need a copy of it. What a book. The people who are in virtual space don't care very much about meat space, and that's correct. The people who are living on the digital utopic frontier don't seem to care that much, actually, about the starving masses. Let's move on to Comment Spotlight, because I'm kind of rambly, and that's the point. I'm going to start the video, and I'm going to ramble, because rambling is what I want. I'm gathering my thoughts about Cyberpunk, and I'm putting them together into an orientation so that when we get into this fight, because every anime that I watch is kind of like a ding-ding, and then it's 24 minutes of my mind versus like 100 people making the best art that they can, and I'm trying to understand what they're doing as best as I can, and just sort of survive it, because it's so much. But I'm gathering my thoughts, and I'm getting myself ready and getting my breath ready. So let's continue on that by taking in some of your thoughts and adding those to my thoughts so that we get a broader perspective. So, Dyslexic Phaser, that walk after his mom dies is so good, and it hangs on David's desperation almost longer than I can take. Perfection. And I responded to this, really tough to watch. They nailed the malaise, and I noticed something on editing. I only noticed on editing, but the whole city is completely empty when he walks through, almost like Monogatari series scenes. In fact, a lot of the scenes remind me of the Monogatari series, now that I've thought about it and edited it through. Not a single person crosses David's path while he's carrying his mom around. Humanity is dead to him. Only systems and buildings remain. Cold, concrete and steel, and glass. He just watched his mom die. And if you've experienced grief, you know that there's nothing that can deal with that, man. Not even a little bit. Man, just so you can tell a piece of art is good because just discussing it emotionally impacts me. Woof. Zale4237 writes, I'm sorry if this comes off as a jumbled mess. You're fine. This comment is going to be a short summary on some thoughts I had while talking on your Discord. Cool. Just say them. You don't need to say the thing before saying them. Just say the thing. That's a more broad thing. I'll step back. This is a thing about qualifiers and self-confidence and the way to speak. If you qualify your speech, everybody will ignore you. If you go, well, I don't really know if this is the way that it is, and I'm sorry if I say a thing that's this way, and I'm going to do this, it's like, well, you don't need to qualify yourself. Just say the thing. Just say the thing, and people will take you more seriously. And you'll get into some trouble, because people will be like, well, you're saying these things as though they're prescriptive, and they're like, this is the way that reality is. It's like, okay, that's not what I really meant, but you wouldn't take it seriously if I didn't say it that way. You really wouldn't, and so I'm going to say it in a harsh way, in a serious way. Zale writes, during David's initial stroll through the city, he gets to a crosswalk, and that always struck me as important, but I could never put it into words until recently. The audio assistant for visually impaired people is the key to that scene for me. A robotic voice repeating, walk, don't walk. It doesn't say safe to cross, it gives orders. I find it very fitting for this setting, this city. It's like the voice that forces you to conform to the laws of society, that crushes individual freedom. The oppression that David and everyone else in this world is subjected to is shown, even in small details like this one. Yeah, super good. Just super good. Sky Fox writes, I think Katsuo, the bully, was genuinely saying his origins, whether it's social status, race, financial status, etc., didn't matter. It's the rebellious attitude, the disregard for authority, and the reticence to toe the company line and to conform that make him so disdainful to Katsuo. I think that's false. I'm sorry. I'm going to be straightforward about it. I don't think that's true. I think Katsuo believes that that's true, and I think he's actually just unconscious about his own biases and prejudices. Because it is David's origins. It's where he came from that makes him not belong. And his rebellious attitude is not a thing that happens in a vacuum. It's a thing that happens as a result of being treated like an outcast. The things are mutualistic. And I really think that Katsuo's experience here, and you can disagree on any level with this, but I don't think it's correct, is the same kind of classism is the biggest thing that I have seen all over the place. Because I'll say this, again, I have lived a very privileged life in terms of my education, very much so. I have some family members who had money and they put it aside for my education, and only for my education. So the result of that was that I lived in a struggling, I mean really struggling, and then struggling worse once my parents divorced because it wasn't two incomes on a household, a struggling middle-class income family, right on the edge of being in poverty. Like, we were not doing okay, actually. My parents did a good job of hiding that from me, but we were not okay. And then because of my trust fund, yes, I had a trust fund. It was for education only, and I can't touch it. It's gone. It's been used up. I have nothing. I get no inheritance from my family. Zero. I have zero inherited wealth except the education that I was given. And that's the most wealthy and valuable thing in the world, and I'm not spurning it. But I want to be clear. I was poor in the best institutions in the country, which are expensive. I went to private high schools, which were expensive. I was classmates with the sons of millionaire actors and actresses and wealthy people. And I experienced some of this disdain, even though I didn't have that rebellious attitude. There was an element of you don't belong. And part of that element was you seem to only own one pair of uniform clothes. And our school doesn't even have a uniform. Idiot. Loser. So I disagree with you. I think Katsuo couches it in, no, you did this to yourself, man. You're just a rebel. You got to get out because of your attitude. And I think he's lying. I think he, at deeper core, believes that fundamentally, no matter what David does, who he tries to be or what work he puts in, he'll never be anything because of where he came from. And that's an idea that you get in racist people and you get it in sexist people. You're never going to be this because you're a woman. You're never going to be this because you're a person of color. You're never going to be this because you're gay. You're never going to be this because you're not what I think you should be. But what they'll say is, you're never going to be this because you just won't follow the system. You're never going to be this because you just won't toe the line. You're never going to be this because you just don't follow the rules. And they're lying, and they're using their lies to hide their biases. At least that's what I think. At least that's what I think. Veer Jr. responds, makes perfect sense. As someone who became very politically aware only 7 years ago, I think it comes through immediately. Race and social status absolutely matter to those people, but they worship capital. So anyone willing to help them keep their power while standing on workers' throats is at least useful, and that's all they really care about. How they can use other people. I'm not denying that. I say that seems true to me, but I say that there is a layer that it's not mutually exclusive with the classism and sexism and racism and the isms that Katsuo is using, because he does say pretty explicitly, you're never going to be this. Never going to be this. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there are multiple comments on this, but the VA in the English dub tried to do a JoJo scene and they kept it, and that's pretty cool. Kirith. Honestly, I really appreciate the call out at 125.20 and your description of pleasure. That's where I find myself at the moment, indulging in pleasure, when I know that there's work that I need to do and feeling worse than when I started. Even after cutting out those specific pleasure activities you mentioned, YouTube has become my dopamine drip, and consequently I spend more time for less reward than ever before. I've talked with a few people and they say most of the same things, but it's hard for it to sink in when strangers you meet once or twice are being polite about it. But hearing it from you, one of my favorite content creators for years, thank you, being brutally honest and spoken directly to me as the viewer, really made it hit home for me. I hope it stays home. Keep it in there. Say what you will about parasocial relationships, everything has its silver lining. So thank you, T. Please continue to make the world a better place with your amazing content and analysis. I'm trying. I'll be taking a detox break from YouTube. Good. And hopefully once university is done, I can find a way to balance indulgence without self-destructing, because there's no way I'd miss your take on the rest of the series. Well, there it is. A year ago, I was slipping into alcoholism. just going to be honest about it. I was using alcohol as a crutch because the world hurt, and alcohol makes some of the pain of the world go away. But of course, it makes more pain long term. So I stopped. I quit cold turkey. I just quit completely. I stopped drinking. A couple months ago, I made the change, and it's gone from me. Same with the nicotine. It's essentially, the cravings are essentially gone from me. I've reintroduced beer into my life with a deep limitation. I get 1 beer a week. I get it on Friday. I had a bit of beer last night, and I'm buying specifically particular types of beer to do an experiment. I've talked about like A/B testing your life. Like, I've got this theory that all of the yeast particulate and stuff in unfiltered beer is actually really valuable to us neurologically. And that's a theory that comes from Accelerando as well, which is weird. But I think it's really valuable to us neurologically. Like the stuff that they produce is weird, complicated organic compounds that seem to be a part of culture and society going back a long way. Like, we've been drinking fermented foods for a long time. And there's something about that was like, maybe there's something missing. So I'm trying that. So I went and I asked my friend to take me to Bevmo after the gym. We went to Bevmo, and I bought a nice bottle of an Abbey Ale, like a good beer that I really like. And I poured some of it out for my friends. I was like, here, everybody try it. I made it a social thing. I had some beer. Part of that is why I'm tired this morning. It's fine. And we'll see if it affects me. But the thing that I know is that once you've cut yourself away from the thing and you've severed that loop of dopaminergic addiction, sometimes you can come back in moderation and find that the loop isn't that strong anymore. And sometimes it's the opposite. It's the reason that I'm not watching Arcane. A lot of people ask me about Arcane. It happens pretty frequently. They're like, are you going to watch Arcane? The answer is no. And the reason isn't because, as DG2 Drunk will say, fuck you, by the way, you're an ass. I know you're not that much of an ass, but you really, really just hammer that point over and over. It's not because I'm like, oh, Arcane's going to make me an addict. It's because I'm already a League of Legends addict, and I will be for life. I've dedicated so much of my time to making neural pathways for knowing how to League of Legends and wanting to, that going anywhere near the product makes those light up, and I'm not strong enough to deal with them. I'm too weak. I'm too weak at the moment. And it's not worth it, so I just keep them cut off. And also, unlike the beer where I think there's something useful about it, and there's something useful socially about it, League of Legends doesn't have anything useful to it. It's just a time waster, so I don't want to turn my attention back to it at all. And I don't want to support the company that makes it at all, because they hurt me, and I hurt myself in relation to their product. So I don't want none of that. That's that. I hope your detox break works well, Kirith, and I hope you're able to put yourself in a state where your dopamine systems are a little bit more normalized. I think one of the ways that you can do that is by restraint and staying away from pleasures for a while. I mean, all of them. I mean all of them, because it's all the same system. All of the drugs, all of the alcohol, all of the sex stuff. All of the overly tasty, salty, fatty foods, all of these things, they spike your dopamines, and they get your reward systems going, and the Instagrams and the YouTubes and the Facebooks and all of it, they get your reward systems going. You gotta balance yourself in relation to all the things that compel you in the world, because some of them are too strong, some of them are too addictive, and you don't want. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe the future for you. The best future is one where you're on the street homeless getting jerked off by a nyrt machine. I don't think so, man. That doesn't seem like a future to me. But I'll judge you if you do that, frankly. And I think as we watch this, when we see those people on the street, we don't go, wow, what a cool idea. I wish that were me. We go, oh no. 465-354-709-394 writes, I am glad that you chose the English track because my first time was in the Japanese track. This make my rewatch with you more meaningful. I suggest you may also try the Japanese track. They are doing a good job too. I did. Actually went and I watched a good chunk of the episode with the Japanese track. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. I'm going to keep going with the dub. Why? Well, because I feel like Night City is an American city. And I feel like David Martinez is a Hispanic young man. And I feel like Night City is San Fran fucking Cisco or Los Angeles. Cities that I've lived in and that I know pretty well. You know, San Francisco is an interesting town because you can walk out of the market district, and I've done this many times. I've spent a lot of time with homeless people. I spent a lot of time in homeless shelters and with homeless people and at food banks and on streets talking to crack addicts. I've spent a good bit of time doing these things, and I understand that people look at me and they're like, where do you get all these experiences that you've had? How have you had these many experiences in your life? And the answer is because I've been deeply privileged. And some of the ways that I've been privileged have been in bad ways. For example, my family was attacked by the Nazis and fled from them, and some of my family doesn't exist anymore because of them. And so my family has done a pretty good job, as far as I know, of educating me as to what happened there. And I don't think we have enough education about that overall. But it's like, where do you get all these experiences? It's because I've had all these experiences and because I've been privileged enough to do so. I've been privileged enough to have an astrophysicist for an uncle so that I could go and see the Gemini Observatory in the Atacama Desert in Chile and really see it and find out about it and talk to some of the astrophysicists who work there and the astronomers who work there. It's like, that's cool. I've been privileged to go to schools that are like this academy that we see in this school. And I wasn't outcast in them, but I stayed. Right? Because my parents were capable of supporting me enough that I stayed. I didn't get kicked out and fuck up and cut corners. And that's probably, you know, there are problems with that because I got raised in that specter of wealth and stuff, and there are problems with that, but there is also value to that, and it means that I've had a good education to some extent. The city, San Francisco, is such an interesting city because you can walk right out of the shiniest market district where there are like hipstery little sandwichy shops and like shops that are open for 3 hours a day for lunch and then they close, and then those are next to big skyscrapers and people are milling about, and you can go 1 block down and 1 block over and there's a gangbanger on every corner and a prostitute on every other corner. And if you want to find some crack cocaine, you can buy it, baby. It's easy. And every stoop in front of every bodega down that street has a dude with an older man, usually a person of color, with a bottle in a paper bag, drinking it, bleary fucking eyes, looking miserable. And there are people wandering around going, oh, yeah, man, I'm not trying to make fun of them, but it's the experience. You walk down the streets of San Francisco and there are skyscrapers on one side and dying people on the street on the other side, and that's real. And so when I see this city, this night city that we see here, that's a real city to me with real people who I have spoken to, and they speak in English. And so I'm going to watch it in English. And I've watched some of both. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the subtitles that show up are the dub title, because I went through the tracks and I discovered that which track is the right one that's the same words being said in the dub as on the subtitle, so there won't be that cognitive dissonance in future episodes. Cool. And we're going to watch the dub. I watched a portion of the sub. It's really good. I have no judgment. There are some emotional things that I think the sub actors do better. I actually think that Japanese voice actors and the Japanese voice acting industry and direction is better at characterizing characters. I think it's better. So I think the sub is fundamentally better. But the dub resonates with me really powerfully, and so we're watching the dub. Sorry. I'm here for you to watch the show, but I need to watch the show in the best way for me in order to make that happen. So that's the way that it's going to be. I'm going to read a comment from Shu. Okay, this convinces me. I've discovered you pretty recently and been watching your Mushoku Tensei videos and also your podcasts. Haven't the Today one, but yeah, last one was def your best work yet. I'll just say the Daily Brew is going up. People love it and hate it, and it's both, and that's okay. I'm going to keep doing it. I did it today, and it's part of the reason that I actually started recording today and that this video is going up today. There's a balance here, and I'm trying to find it, and it's been leading to less other things coming out, but that's okay. Part of the reason that less things came out this week is because a person who is close to a person that I know committed suicide on Tuesday, and I needed to talk about it a bit. So go watch the video called Being is Good. It's at the top of the YouTube channel, no matter where you're at. Please go watch that video. It's really important. That's what Shu is talking about here. Since you're watching and I've heard tons of praise, now I got to watch this show too and see what I can learn and then see what you've understood as well. A lot of the times I think people have the urge to say, no, you've interpreted the scene wrong. This is how it was being shown. And I think that approach is very wrong. Yeah, But it's the thing that leads us to argument. The you've done it wrong. You saw it wrong. You're watching it wrong. You're reading it wrong is impossible. There's misinterpretation, and then there's differently interpreting a piece of media. That said, there are false interpretations that are just absurd, right? It's like if you watch Cyberpunk Edgerunners and you came out of it saying like, well, that was a good argument for pink fluffy bunnies being the best type of animal, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? We did not watch the same show. Well, that would be a wrong interpretation. But as long as we're honing in and actively engaging with the media and trying in good faith to understand what's going on, there's no wrong. It's just more correct or less correct or both differently correct, and probably both are differently correct. At least if something feels truly correct to you, well, that's because it is to you. You resonate with it, and it's as true as it could be to you. Now, maybe you have a different framework, or maybe you have a false framework, or maybe you have no framework, and because of that framework and that perceptual structure that you brought to it, your interpretation is fundamentally incorrect for other reasons, but the process of you trying to interpret it and coming up with an interpretation is never inherently wrong. So, good. I like this comment. I think the way we view and what we take away from a story as an individual doesn't always have to be the same. It never has to be the same. And it's for that reason that I love discussions, regardless of if others agree with me or not. If we learn something new from each other, then that in itself is a lot of value. Hell yeah, exactly. Glitchin123 writes something useful. I think the most important thing to know for someone coming into this show is to think of it less as the story of David Martinez. In my opinion, it's better to go into it thinking that this is a way to learn about Night City told through David Martinez's story. Maybe a better way to say it is the main character. Say it is the main character isn't David, but is the city and how it itself operates. David is simply the medium for us, right? He's a point of view character, yeah. But the same is true for Kill la Kill. You know, it's true. The world is the character, but I get what you mean exactly, and the same is true in a lot of TTRPGs, and that's part of why TTRPGs are cool. At least from the perspective of me as a dungeon master, like, the story is the story of the city, or the story of the world, and these characters just they're just a part of it, you know? Everything's moving in directions, and man, I figured out the directions that my main game is going, and it's gonna get interesting, because finally I have some real serious ideological enemies to grapple with, and I'm gonna do so, and it's gonna be interesting to see what my characters do, because I've been watching them, and I've been going back through, and I've been realizing some things about who they are and who their players are and what they're afraid of actually, and what they go toward and what they avoid, and what their sort of like their flaws are, and I'm gonna nail them with it, man. I'm gonna nail them with it because I'm the DM and I've got some power, and I'm gonna have some elements of my world express some power in a way that my characters are gonna have to respond to, and they might respond in a way that causes destruction, and they might have to live with that, and that'll be really interesting. Okay. Damon Redfield writes, there were two bidders for this anime, Trigger and Production IG. Ironically, Trigger also intentionally tried to avoid making the female lead look like Major from Ghost in the Shell, and failed. Yeah, she looks a lot like Major from Ghost in the Shell, because Major from Ghost in the Shell is a pretty solid idealization of woman, actually. I think. Now, to me, for my preferences and stuff. And there's reason for that. She's a cyborg, right? Like, she's not whole. She's been rebuilt into this idealized form. That's what Major is, and it's like that's sort of part of the core questioning of Ghost in the Shell, is that sort of, what are you if you're not even what you are? But Major is like competent, confident, capable, strong, sturdy, sexy as hell, super smart, and like has a bunch of tech that makes her be able to turn invisible and shit and do all these crazy things, and she's a competent detective lady. She fits this archetype of competent detective lady, and then into the super future, and it's like, man, if you're gonna make a super future waifu and she doesn't have a haircut like this, and she doesn't have like some skin showing in some ways, then what are you doing with your waifu? You made a bad waifu, man. So they're, you know, they might have tried, but maybe that's an impossibility. Maybe the archetypal woman in a cyberpunk universe looks more like Major. Maybe that's weird. Maybe it shouldn't be thus. I'm not saying that it's good, but it seems like if they really tried and they failed so hard, it might be impossible to get away from it. So that's really interesting. Hold on, I hear a cat meowing. All right, this one is just a pat on the back for me. Really, this is stroking my ego is all that this one is, but you know, you got to do that. You can't live in a world where you leave yourself to be a failure. You got to live in a world where you take your... I'm bad at taking compliments, actually. You got to live in a world where you can take compliments when they're heartfelt and well meant. This one seems heartfelt and well meant, so I'm going to read it out and try to internalize it a little bit. And I understand that to think too much of these is to verge into arrogance, which is, again, it's like the cardinal sin that I'm most attuned to is arrogance. Because I have a lot to be proud of. I really do have a lot to be proud of. And so it's humility that's the answer to that, and I try. And let me know if I'm not trying hard enough, but I'm trying. Chaos to Inferno. Goddamn, T, this was excellent. I've been away for about a year because I had to take care of real-life shit, and man, have you improved. Thank you. This might be my favorite video you've put out, barring maybe Kaiki Monogatari. Great energy and interesting discussion on both art and themes. Really well done. I'm glad this is the video I came back on. Keep up the good work. And shoulder to the wheel, or shoulder to the wheel. There. Thank you, Chaos. I appreciate your observation. Your reflection helps me confirm whether what I'm doing is real, because there are people who are mad about some of what I'm doing, and their reflection helps me confirm whether it's correct or not, too, and there are still flaws, right? And some of them I have to dismiss, because some of them aren't arguing with me in good faith, and some of them I have to take very seriously, because they've got... The truth is that whether they like the content or not is true. It's true. And so, take it very seriously. But what you've said is true, too. Yes, I have improved in the last year. I am fitter. I am stronger. I am thinking better. I am waking up on time. I am less depressed. I am capable. And recognizing that capacity is not the same as arrogance. Because recognizing that capacity is the same as Spider-Man recognizing his responsibility. It's knowing how far you can shoot your webs. It's knowing how strong you are. It's knowing how far you can jump. And then once you know how far you can jump and how far you can shoot your webs and how strong you are, if you see something wrong and you're capable of stopping it, and you know it, and you don't, you're evil. You're wrong. So, trying to improve, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm at so that I can figure out where my boundaries are and expand them continuously and keep pushing against the wall. And part of that is finding out where my boundaries aren't, where I'm almost like limitless, where I don't know how good I could get if I were to really put myself to it. Like, I'm a few years into this experiment of the YouTube channel and anime and analyzing it. Who knows? And I think, and I said in a few videos ago, I think I'm the best at doing this already, and I actually believe that. And more than just believing that, I think that I have to say that and have to believe that I believe that in order to make it so. Because even if it's not so, believing it means, and saying that it is so means I have to work to back it up, you know? And so now when I sit down for a video, every video that I sit down for is in the process of, I'm going to make this the best damn video on this subject in existence, right? You know, a few hundred people made videos on Cyberpunk Edgerunners Episode 1. Which one's the best? Well, I hope it's mine. I tried to make it mine. Not to hurt the other people, not to do anything else, but because I want to compete and I want to make the best video. More than I want to compete, I want to make the best video is what I should say. So I have improved. And I have changed. And we're only a few years into this experiment. And how good could it be? So, you can disagree with me as to whether I'm the best, and that's reasonable. It's reasonable, because I don't know everybody, and I don't know everything, and I know there are a couple of people out there who are doing some good stuff. Good. Awesome. More people talking about interesting things. Yeah. Nope. There's no competition. There's no mutual exclusivity here. We don't hurt each other. Somebody can subscribe to my Patreon and somebody else's Patreon. It doesn't matter. You can watch my video and then watch somebody else's video. It doesn't matter. I guess there's only so much attention and time, so I do have to try to get that from you. Even if I'm not the best, I'm in the top 5. In terms of active anime analysis and extemporaneous discussion. Top 5. No sweat. I don't think anybody can argue that. In a couple of years, I'm top 5. How good could I be if I dedicated myself to it completely for the next 10 years? I don't know. It seems like a limitless pool of possibility. So, thanks for supporting it. I appreciate you. And I'm going to keep trying, because I think I could be so far beyond the best that maybe it would be transcendent. That this content could go from anything, any of the flaws in it could get ironed out over years. And I'm willing to put in the years. And I could end up being really concise and really, really articulate and really, really accurate in my interpretations and really helpful to a lot of people and make some real changes. So I'm leaning into that. And that requires finding the places which are seemingly boundless and then exploring them and pushing them. And that means figuring out what I'm good at and admitting that I'm good at it and then pursuing it. So that's what I'm going to do. So thank you, Chaos. I appreciate it. I will keep up the good work. Or at least I'll keep up the work, and I'm going to hope beyond hope that it will be good. John Smith, remember that David is Latino. The cross seems more emblematic of that heritage than anything else. I respond, that tracks. I think we can extend that to say that it's then a symbol, a small one, of culture and history and faith as a whole. Faith in humanity, faith in the self, faith in family, faith in anything. It's faith, right? And so, and it's his history and it's his culture. And so that's part of why I'm so interested to see if he removes it to replace it with something else. Or if it hangs next to the key that he's got for his cyber stuff. Or what the fuck happens there. Because it's symbolic. It's like powerfully symbolic. I'm really interested in seeing what happens there. So, the good thing to point out about his Latino heritage. 100%. But that makes it mean more to me. It makes it mean more to me. It's got more layers of meaning, and that's pretty cool. Elevone writes, don't think Dave, and I don't know if he's saying, if Elevone is saying, I don't think David or his friends, or you shouldn't think David or his friends. And I actually appreciate the ambiguity here. Don't think David or his friends will bring about any change. Night City is just too big and powerful and uncaring a place. As they say, it just eats up and spits everyone out who isn't on top. I suspect the story is going to be more about showing the inequalities and changes that should be made via seeing people fall to them, even when trying to do better, etc., rather than about seeing them bring about the changes. It can point out what should change and make us want it, maybe more, by showing characters we care for fail to get it. I love a good happy end myself, but given what I know of the setting, it would seem impossible here. And a couple people responded, Night City always wins. I agree. The individual can't change all of the system, because the individual is too small and the system is too large. But what the individual can do is find a small group and align themselves and their little bit of power that they're able to hold to protect themselves instead of destroying. And they can maybe use that protective bulwark of theory and idea and goodness and love and harmony and peace to stave off the horrifying corruption that surrounds them in all their ways and make a little bubble of safety. And then maybe with enough effort and power and love and generosity and all of these things, they can expand that bubble of safety outward a little bit. But you're right. Night City is a fictional city, and it's fictionally built to be the most corrupt. It's an archetype, right? It's like Rudius in Mushoku Tensei is fictionally built to be the worst person. It's why that character jerks off to kids. It's because he's the worst person. It's why the city, Night City, is the worst city, where the worst thing, the cops are all the worst corruption, and the crime is the worst type of crime because it happens for no reason, and the sex stuff is the worst kind of sex stuff, and the inequality is the worst kind of inequality, and the corruption is the worst kind of corruption because it's the worst city built on beautiful cyber stuff, right? But it's also fictional. It's not like our real world, and that's the difference to some extent. I think that in the real world, Night City doesn't devour you up and spit you out. Entropy does. The world does. The world is chaos. You're gonna die. You're gonna get spit up. You're gonna get chewed up and spit out by the world. No matter how good you are, or how strong you are, or how powerful you are. Even if you're Jeff fucking Bezos and you're a billionaire, you're gonna die. And all of us can take some solace in that, actually, is to know that the most powerful people will die. And to know that most of the corrupt and hateful, like, Puritans and the destructive iconoclasts will all die. That's pretty interesting to know that. It's kind of good. You can kind of just wait for it. Like, well, okay, as long as they don't blow up the world before they all die, maybe we'll survive. You know, if you think that the boomers, and you might be right, if the boomers are the worst thing that ever happened to the universe, and they might have been, well, they're all on the way out. And you don't have to do anything about it. You know, you don't have to go crazy and remove them from politics. You just have to weather the storm for a couple decades, and they'll all die, and the world will change. probably for the better. That's pretty interesting. So yes, you will get chewed up and spit out, but that's not a reason not to try. And you can create a little bubble of safety for yourself, and doing so can make the next iteration of the next youth of Night City slightly better. Victory, in a human sense, doesn't happen in your lifetime. Society grows great when old men plant trees that they will never experience the shade of. When you do things for the next generation instead of for yourself, that's when society works. And that's my fundamental argument about capitalism. I am a capitalist. I think capitalism works. I think it's actually the only system that can work. Maybe I should say markets work, because that's actually what I believe. I believe that markets work, and I believe that people own things because you own your body and you are loath to have it taken away from you. And you own a bunch of stuff. Regardless of whether you're a communist or not, you own a bunch of stuff. And maybe you don't own enough of it, and that's fucked up. And maybe you're renting some of it and you don't have responsibility for it, and so you treat it like shit because you're renting it, it's not actually yours, and that's fucked up. And I think land ownership and renting is theft, okay? But I don't think that property as a whole is the same. I don't think that me owning this cup that I use as a tool is the same as me owning a building and renting it at an exorbitant rate to people. There's a distinction there. One of those is corrupt and the other one's not. But I think the fundamental problem with capitalism is that our ideas of what is profitable are misaligned from reality. I was talking about this in the Daily Brew the other day, was that there's this instinct to go onto Amazon and to purchase the cheapest version of a thing. I was talking about it in terms of this. This is $160+ Fellow Corvo. Boom. And it's really nice. It's really nice. It's really, really good. It's got a beautiful handle, and it's gorgeously constructed, and the electronics are really high quality. And I bought it because it's the best one that is made. And you can go and you can buy an identical piece of technology that's made in China for $35. Identical. In every way except that it's got a logo on it that says, like, Koso China Wao Jiwa, because they make up these fucked names to put on everything, and you'd never know what brand is what a good brand is. You have to do the research, right? And I could have bought that one, but I realized that the instinct to buy that cheap one instead of the real quality one, the instinct to cut that corner and to be as cheap as possible and to buy the tool that just barely works, is the same instinct that is the exploitative instinct of the corporation that produces the thing that's cheap and shitty. And when you have that instinct to buy the cheap thing, what you're doing is you're saying that value doesn't matter. You're saying that the work and effort and ideation and creativity that went into creating the design and the effective product that is as good as it could be doesn't matter. And you just want the effect. You just want the result. You just want the profit. And you want to pay as little for it as possible. And that's the market, but it's the market being fundamentally misaligned, because the thing that's true is that when you buy the cheap one, it fails in 2 years and you have to buy another one. When you buy the good one, it lasts for a decade. So overall, in the long run, you're actually less profitable. And the company that makes the cheap ones sells a bunch of them and then goes under. And the company that makes the good ones sells them consistently for a high price, the price that they're worth, and just makes it and stays alive. So that's what I think is the misalignment, is that we pursue profit for profit's sake instead of profit where it's actually profitable. So this is something about the environment. It is infinitely more profitable to run your company in an ecologically friendly way, because long-term, your company doesn't fall apart and die because the environment that supports it gets destroyed. But our capitalism is too initially gratifying, and it doesn't account for the future effectively. And I think that's the fundamental problem, is that our capitalist systems don't account for the future effectively. And if they did, and if the capitalist system aligns toward the most profitable thing is the thing that remains most profitable into the future, which is to say sustainable, which is to say that it's good to all of the people in the system so that they can all survive, and it's good to the environment that the system exists in so that the system survives, and it's good in general, and it produces products that are worthwhile and sells them to people who actually need them, and like is like a body where it's actually an efficient marketplace for nutrients, because your body is a marketplace for nutrients. All of your cells need certain nutrients, and your body learns how to distribute them, and that works. Now, your body's centralized, and your body's centralized in some interesting ways, but it's also distributed, and your body is made up of individual cells, and the individual sections of all your blood flow come back to a central heart, let's like taxes or something, and the essential base nutrients are spread to all the individual cells. And so there's this idea there that's in balance between the pursuit of profit for profit's sake and the pursuit of what's good for the collective whole, because it's good for the collective whole now and into the future. And it's this revelation that the thing that's actually and truly profitable in the world is the thing that lasts. And so the problem that I see with capitalism is not that seeking profit is wrong, or seeking value creation or wealth generation is wrong. It's that seeking it now is less important than seeking it forever. And if we were seeking it forever, our companies would be aligned with truth better, and we would have less environmental destruction, and more poor people wouldn't be poor, because wealthy people produce more wealth. And when we give poor people the fundamental baseline where they have the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs filled in already, they're not scrambling to fill in the fundamental thing, and they produce more wealth for the system. So that's the misalignment, is that the people who are like hardcore free market capitalists often will say, like, well, profit is the best system, but they're focused so much on profit now that they ignore profit later. And that's incorrect. Profit comes as a part of acting correctly when the world and its systems are organized to produce that kind of profit. Patreon is a system that is organized, to my knowledge, correctly. And it is generating wealth for me. And it's generating wealth in an ethical way that where I feel like the value that I produce is directly in exchange for the wealth that is produced. And it's continuous into the future. And it works, and it seems correct. And it's growing more wealth because it's correct, because I don't have to exploit your ass. So what if you ran a company that worked in a way that didn't exploit anybody, that treated its individual units like they were valuable? All the people within your company, you treated them like they were valuable, and you paid them well, and you treated them like they had creative ideas that mattered. And what if you built in that company, you built products that improved the world, and you sold them for a price that was reasonable, but enough so that you could pay your company, your employees well? At what level of the wealth that is generated in that company is exploitation occurring? Now, there's inherent exploitation because you're taking the labor of the people who are laboring, but they've agreed to it, and they're getting enough back from it that they think that that's a negotiated truth, and that doesn't work in a system where the negotiated level of wealth is so far down that it's been just shattered, right? And people are scrambling to minimum wage it up. That doesn't work, so there's a problem there. The minimum wage needs to be higher. But if you did that, and your company was successful, theoretically, would you be evil if you were a millionaire or a billionaire at the top of a company like that? Maybe by inherence of being at the top. But I don't think that the inherent differences in the wealth generation process, which are that you, the person who created and organized this company, are going to accumulate more of the wealth and power that are created by the wealth. As long as you're distributing it semi-fairly to all of the multifarious people who are generating parts of that wealth, and it's an equal exchange of their labor for the wealth that they produce, and they get paid in a way that feels correct, and they've got some level of commission or some level of stock options or something, so that by improving the company, they actually improve their own wealth. Or how about if that was on a national or a global scale? By improving the world, you actually improve your own quality of life. What if it's already true? Interesting. Well, then would there be as much evil in your system as people claim there is in all capitalist systems? And I think the answer is inherently no. And I think that you can organize that inside capitalism. Yes, there will be corruption anyway. There will be inefficiencies anyway. Always. But those are part of systems, not part of capitalism. Well, they are part of capitalism because it's a system. But capitalism is also the system that rules the fishes in the sea, and the birds in the sky, and the lands on and the animals on the land. Big animals eat little animals, and they dissolve them and turn them into parts of the big animal, and that's not fair for the little animal. RIP. Well, what are you gonna do? You gonna tell the lions that they need to be more Marxist? Seems fucking stupid to me. It seems like these things have evolved for reasons, that they exist in a way that they are for reasons, and maybe we should be loath to change them dramatically, and maybe we should try to fix them and make them more fair before we throw them out. Because, again, I've got running water and electricity, and those things are pretty important, and I wouldn't have those without capitalism, because every time we've tried a different system, those things fall apart. And people start starving and dying. Every time it's been tried. Now, maybe it hasn't been tried correctly, but every time it's been tried, people starve and die. And murder each other. Interesting. Night City's gonna chew you up and tear you up and spit you out, and so is the world. Every damn time. Welcome to it. There's no peace in this world. Society doesn't create horror. The natural life of man is that of an animal. And if you want to find out what that's like, stop eating. I'm really serious about this. Stop eating. See how long it takes you. See how long it takes you to start becoming an animal. When your fundamentals of society start going away. Oh, not that long. Or lock yourself in your room like some of you do and don't talk to people. See how long it takes for you to start going fucking insane. When your systems collapse. When you cut everybody off. When you say that none of it matters. You know, like, turn off the water to your house. Try that for a day. You're fucked. You're fucked. Where do you think the water comes from? Well, it comes from the oppressive capitalist system that you're a part of. Maybe you need part of it. Okay, I'm going to move on from this comment because it's got me incensed, and that's good. This is where we're going. This is where I'm at. I want to talk about these. That's going to be it for comments, I think. I scrolled through them, and I think that's all of the ones that I want to specifically talk about. So, good. I did have an argument with Fell about corrupt capitalism and stuff like that, and Fell is quite frustrated at how incredibly close I am to getting it, but I think I've got it, actually, and I think I'd love to discuss it with you, because I do think I actually have it, and I'll have to read all of Mark's, or a large portion of Mark's angles to understand where I have it and where they don't, because they don't have it, man. If they had it, the experiments might have worked. They don't have it. Not all of it. They've got a part of it. It's a part, and they gotta be in balance. Okay. I am going to use the bathroom and return for Cyberpunk Edgerunners Episode 1. Thanks for bearing with this discussion. I know that the beginning has been rambly. I'm sorry. I'm just tired and stupid, but I hope it's been worthwhile. I hope it's been really worthwhile. Alright, welcome back. We're good to go for Cyberpunk Edgerunners Episode 2. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the first episode. Hope you'll enjoy this one. I've got it up and ready to go. I've got the dub queued and the dub title with it. There will be 2 versions. Picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube. Come back for the discussion. It's going to be important, I think. Support me on Patreon if you think that any of this bullshit that I do is worth something to you. You get almost nothing for it. I'm not selling you anything, really. Just me and the content that I provide to you for free, and what I'm selling you is the idea that if you pay for things of value, maybe more things of value will get produced. I believe that idea strongly enough that I've staked my life on it. And for the last couple of years it's been working, and it keeps working better, and the more closely I seem to align myself with that idea, the better it works. So, if you feel like that idea should be supported, please support it. Maybe then I'll have the time and the money and the ability and the reach to, like, rebuild my computer and not be in chaos all the time, and do this as seriously as I can, and get an audio interface that doesn't pop every 10 seconds, because I realize that that's part of the problem, and all these things that I need to do that require fucking stupid money, and I get it. I understand that's part of the inherence of the capitalist system, but it's like, well, that inspires me to produce more value, and isn't that the way that it should be? Okay. Let's watch Edgerunners Episode 2. Beep beep timer. Hell yeah. Put it in me. Wow, all warpy. Yeah. Of course he doesn't. Wow. Ah. Okay. Fine. You want to get dead? I'll let. Hey, the pain! Yeah! Shit, shit, fuck, shit. Ow, God. Brutal. Good. Metal. Boom. And it'll be. Oh, sick. Good, 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 good. All right, flat. Very Gurren Lagann. Very. Actually, very, Groove and Magic. Hey, Otsuka and Usa. Wakabayashi on creative support. Let's go. Yo, Yoshinari, character designer. Let's go. This is sick. Oh, that's sick. Nomura on backgrounds. Sideways go the skyscrapers. Infinite dimensions beyond them. Through them goes him. Faces emblazoned upon him. Because it's people in him. He's people. Systems outside. Nice. This fire. Oh, it's by Franz Ferdinand. That's why it sounds like Franz Ferdinand. Animation directed by Hiroyuki Imaishi for the opening. Lots of explosions. Great explosions, too. Wow. Separated out into parts. Demolished into a flow that's redline. That was all redline. That's sick. Oh my god, this OP is amazing. Yeah, him versus the city. Reflections of all the people that he's embodying versus all the things that the city embodied. Wow. Okay, so some history stuff. He's bleeding through it. Oh, you got another thing, Call. Fuck you. So here's him going stupid. This is stupid, right? Yep. Zoop with his stupid fists. Go for it, kid. He's got power now. Mm-hmm. Slow-mo. Nice. No. Yep. Paww. Yeah, a little much, though. Yeah, they just hobble off. What military, kid? Yeah, fuck you. Yeah! Well, but that's a bad attitude, because you're gonna get fucking killed, dude. People want that tech. Yeah, he's happy. Yeah. What? Whoa. Okay, I see. Well, that's a little empty then. You just have your mom, and what can you do about it? You got all this power, and yay, good for you. Ah. You stepped into something you don't want to be stepping into. Top student. Oh. He's special. He's capable. Got it. They've got a new product. It's an integrator, right? It's a human integrator. That's my guess. It makes people not people anymore. He doesn't care anymore. Wonder what that means. All right, the principal. Oh. Ha. Right. Well, I guess it's waterproof. Hey, dude's all right. Okay, we're back here. Nice. Nothing has changed. You got power and it didn't work. Okay, we're back to the city and there are people around. Same old, up and over. Nothing has changed, really. Oh, he is wearing it too. He's wearing it too. Okay, up over the edge. And down into the dirt. And then what? It's the same old, man. Same scene, same walk. No difference. Can't change it. So the girl. Yep. Yep. This is awesome. Oh. The glimmer. Walking by the impossible, right? Huh. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. She's yoinking chips! Nope. Zzzt. Zip, 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 zip. Excuse me. I'd rather you didn't. Nope. Oh, God, she is hot. That is a problem. Whoa. Yeah, what's your con? What's your con? A what? What is pig socket? Hot. Hot. Oh, hot. Ha! Okay! Yes, pretty lady! Oh. Blue-red. Uh-huh. I don't like her voice actress. Uh-oh. Oh, so there's our spinny wires. Cutting and trapping, Spider-Woman. Ha! Just instantly in it. Hi, Lucy. I'm in love. Zip, zip. What was that motion? What was that? We're gonna do a bump and grab? Wah. So she strings it out. Oh, he's sleeping. Too easy. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. Oh, don't throw that up around. And he's using his power so flippantly. Yakuza. Jesus. And nobody notices their chips being gone? Okay. Wow, we jumped into this so fast and so quickly. Hey, we had a deal. Hey. You no, you're not. You were hoping. No, he is bleeding. Just like Ryuko, right? It's blood loss. Overdoing his totally. Oh, it's an implant. You're gonna reject it. Nobody. I would assume, but nope. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you just got pinged, didn't you? Pills? He doesn't even know about implants or rejection, yeah. He has no idea. Everybody has to take anti-immunosuppressants to prevent their bodies from rejecting the cyber stuff. You're not going to the hospital. He's under, yeah. Because she's about to save your ass. Yup. Whoa. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. God, she's out of her gourd. And so hot. Ah, Trigger, stop it. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Just looking up at the most beautiful woman you've ever seen being insane. Yeah. Nah, she's hot, dude. Wow. Oh. That's about right. Could you take that off so we can breathe? Doc. Wow. This is great. Too many. He's special. He's resilient. He can get back up. He was being an asshole trying to kill him. He thought he would just die. No charity. The chips. Fuck, so you're on a schedule now. The dub titles aren't very good. It's course, not cause, and stuff like that. Quite sure. I want this power now. He's special. He's wearing both. 2 chains. It's a powerful implant. It's your whole spine, man. It's an interesting poster. She is so fine. Nah. That's the whole point, I know, but... Chill out, man. She's got some stuff figured out. Okay, so what's next? Yeah, desperation, man. A hug? Something like that? No, she's gonna show you something. She's gonna show you something about the world. Yeah. Cool. Maybe her favorite spot? You invited a boy back to your house. It's like, well, yes, he is. Well, yes. That's great. That was a cute place. Makoto. Cigs and beer. Is that Joseph Brewing Company? I wonder what that is. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, you would. Wow, those fans are great. It's his mom's coat, man. She wants to see the tech and you. She's forward, man, but it's the tech. Whoa. Fuck 'em. Oh, okay. What? Wow, that was a lot. God, No, she believes in that for real. Whoa, buddy. Looking up at the stars, and it's... Oh, and what a Maishi poster. This, like, cross of light in the background and pointing to the... Wow. He doesn't know nothing. You don't know nothing, bud. But... Mm-hmm. He is one, though. He's a contradiction. And he is, to some extent. Yeah, why did they? Well, you believed it, at least. Yeah, he's got the coat. Yeah. Yep. It was all for her, not for you. Yeah. Wow. Damn, she's good. What? I'm allowed to have a dream? What? I can't have a dream? Now that she's gone. No, there isn't. No, there is nothing wrong with that. But now she's gone. I don't know. There it is. I want to be more than I am. I want to go far away. Good. Cool. The divine feminine who needs rescuing, who she's got her shit together, but she still needs rescuing. What are they doing? What is this? Is this how we sex? Is that what this is? I hope not. Ah. Of course. Whoa. Her voice has gotten better. This is cute. Very cute. Yeah. Leaping up. Fucking awesome indeed. They're dancing. They're dancing. And she's saying, come with me. I'll show you my dance. I'll show you my world. The prison camp. Like Dallos. Beckoning. Oh, man. Are you gonna grab your hand to hers? It's like Shut Up and Dance With Me, which is my favorite song, or one of my favorite songs. Shut up and dance with me. God, she is an ethereal magic pixie dream girl. And this is really her episode. Seeing each other in each other. Gravity-free bubbly. But there's an indirect kiss there. I don't know what that stuff does, but fine. This is her safe space, yeah. It's her sacred space. Oh, wow. God, she's gotta be so alone. Yeah. She's... Beautiful girl tells you that. What are you gonna do? Holy shit, she is something else. This episode hurts me. It actually hurts me. Ha! I'd rather you didn't, frankly. She sold you out. Cut to Rocket. Welcome to the moon. Oh, fuck you, show. That was a great cliffhang. Wow. Okay, and we get more here. God, that's gorgeous. Building it out of constructs. Frame. Oh. That's cool. Wow. And there we get her real face. So she was, to some extent, playing a longer con. Some of what she said was real and legitimate, but some of it was not. Wow. What an episode. Oh, okay, so that's like Makoto as well. I mean, Jesus. So we've got this duality male-female, yeah. Ice cubes, crystals, digitals. Her pain is real. Yeah, this woman has been through some shit. And we dismiss her as just like the surface level at our peril. This is a girl who's got some strength and she's got some dreams. Okay, it should just be credits. And there we are. Cyberpunk Edgerunners episode 2. The girl with the hair. You know, like that's the episode, man. This is her episode. I just wanted to post on my Discord that the Cyberpunk will be coming today. That's all I did. Okay. Some of the stuff I was looking at here is directly confirmed. Some of the thoughts that I had are exactly right, but again, they were so broad that they kind of had to be. High time I chrome the fuck up. And having the subs be accurate is great. This warpy, wavy confusedness inside the plastic of the thing, and the continuous, hey man, I'll just buy it from ya, is great. It's this condescension and disregard, and then not even telling him or selling him immunoblockers, because this is real. If you get an implanted organ or you get an artificial replacement stuff, you got to take immunosuppressants so that your immune system doesn't go and attack your body and kill you, because it'll reject the stuff, and I didn't even think of that, but that makes sense. And he apparently doesn't need them completely, which is interesting. But this fucking doc kills him, like tries to actively kill him in order to get his stuff. and does this. We do this instant cut to haphazard technology, right? Like, I'm down, let's do it. Brrr. We're doing it, man. We're just shoving it into you live. And it's in. And it's a part of you. And there it is. This OP is sick, nasty. Where does our character start off? In a barren wasteland with nothing in it. But he's facing in a direction. Okay. It grows and overtakes him. The actual logo work is glorious and really cool. Everything that's outside of him are systems and structures and buildings. Pictures of the city, okay? Everything that flashes inside all these outlines of skyscrapers is pictures of the city. Everything that flashes within him are pictures of people. Part of him, part of another person, another person, another person. All these faces mapped across his face. All these people mapped across the one person who is our insert character, through whom we see as a lens to all the other people in this world, and who is emblematic of person, human, protagonist, you. Hero protagonist from Snow Crash. So this is one of my favorite characters in history. There's a book by Neil Stephenson. It's called Snow Crash. It's one of the fundamental texts of like Neuromancer and certain other books. It's one of the fundamental texts of cyberpunk in literature. Snow Crash is also an extraordinary book. But the main character is named Hiro, Hero Protagonist. And his name is Hero Protagonist. And he's a weird, edgy cyber samurai who's the best samurai in the world. And he's also a pizza delivery driver for Domino's. And he, like... Pizza delivery for Domino's is some crazy shit because they've got their 30-minute guarantee and they fucking mean it. I mean, they break traffic rules continuously to get your pizza to the place on time. And if it doesn't get on time, like, you get kind of dead if you're the pizza delivery guy. And it's like, it's scary. Go read Snow Crash. It's amazing. He's hero protagonist. He's almost nameless. Now, David Martinez has his history and who he is and his culture and all these things, but he's also you. He's also empty enough and devoid enough of all of those things to be just you. And it's awesome. And so he's everybody, and he's a reflection of everybody that he meets. And he arranges himself as all of that and all of those people, and he moves forward against the cities. He starts to run. He starts to move. And he angles himself, and he's got one eye, and that's Kamina. That's Kamina. Look at it. Go find scenes of Gurren Lagann. That's Kamina. That's Kamina. He's going forward. He's angled towards you. He's coming for your ass. He's going. He's got a direction. Kamina points up at the sky. David points at you. Or at something. And he goes up and down simultaneously, and he looks enraged. Just through that one eye, he looks enraged and furious. We move past him from there. All these immense and massive explosions as he sort of collides with the thing, right? And fire is blooming underneath him, and he's running through the flames and through the color. And it's his face, and his face is all of the faces. His face is all the faces, and his person is all the people. And he's getting disintegrated by that, by this force of his own movement forward. These colors that are streaming off of him he's getting cracked and crushed and destroyed and filled in with color. And he's moving forward, and his choice to move forward unites him into one thing that's these multi-streaks of different colors that all zip into red line, and brrrr, with all the different fonts are the underline under Hiroyuki Imaishi. And that's Redline as well. Go watch the opening sequence to Redline. He stole it. Imaishi just stole this opening sequence in part. In some ways. And that's not a bad thing. That's fine. It's good. Ideas get stolen. And it's a good idea, and he stole it well. And we stop. I don't know who this guy is, okay? But who is this guy? So we get seemingly shot in the head. I don't know what that is. Or opened up or something. We get this multi-layered shifting and change. And we get him gazing up with faces amongst him against a human who is emblematic of the society. And I assume that this is the Arasaka guy. Maybe Katsuo's dad or somebody like that. And he's looking up at that representation of all the social stuff, who's holding a gun, I think, and his authority, and is looking down on him. And he's looking up at it so far, and he's got a hole in his head from the gun. And maybe that'll happen at the end. Maybe he'll get dead for what he's doing. And that's a reasonable type of story that we might tell here. It's pretty interesting. Very cool. Okay, history and stuff, he doesn't give a shit about any of that. He's here to prove himself. Have you lost you're not following the rules? And he goes, fuck you, man, fight me. This is exactly what we talked about. David's going to take his power and he's going to do the most emotionally cathartic thing that he can do with it. He's going to go and punch the asshole bully who punched him. Right? The first thing that you do when you learn a little bit of martial arts, because, you know, you go and you learn martial arts because you got bullied. And the first thing you do is you go and you punch your bully in the face. And you go, fuck you, man. Fuck you. And you're an idiot for doing it. You get thrown in detention for it for a week and whatever. But like, oh, you had to do it. And it's stupid for you to do it. And it gets you on some lists. But it also shows us the first demonstration of David's power as he's taking the power himself. And it's a little much for him. He's like, oh, it's not normal. And the guys behind him, like, run away. So we see how good the authority and competence of this Katsuo guy is. It's non-existent. He doesn't have authority or competence. He just has power. And power doesn't work because this guy's got more power. And they're like, ooh, rip, we're going to get the fuck out of here. Tosses him against there. And we immediately get to the core of who Katsuo actually is. He has nothing of himself. You broke my nose. Don't you know who my father is? Not, don't you know who I am? Don't you know who my father is? My daddy's gonna get you. You're so fucking gone. I have power. You can't stand up against power. You can't stand up against power. You're a pleb. You're not allowed to have power. David goes, fuck you, man. And I love that we phase it out.
Like I give a shit.
And it just fades out. He goes, fuck off. Fuck you, man. Your crying, whining bullshit doesn't do anything to me. I got stuff to do. Fuck this. He's walking around with a bloody implant in him. Like, clearly, he's not figured it out. You know, he's got a big blood stain on his back. He clearly hasn't figured his shit out completely, but he's like, ha-ha! I've done it! And he zips home and collapses and is like, well, I guess I don't know what to do now. Because you resolved the catharsis, but that doesn't fix the problem. Your mom's still dead. And you're still alone, and you still need money, and the system's still corrupt. And you getting a little bit of power and punching your bully hasn't fixed it. You know, the punch that you punched your bully hasn't fractally fixed the entire society. Darn, if only it were so easy. Stuck. At an angle, at odds. And we know that somebody bigger than you is watching. We show this whole scene as they're watching. Interesting. And what's really interesting is that he was a top student. He owes a considerable debt. We can manipulate him. He's got James Norris's equipped Sandevistan. And most importantly, he hasn't demonstrated any cyberpsychosis. So he might have something unique about him, which is to say that the youth, the individual, the young individual who is uncorrupted, not completely corrupted by the society, might be the one who has the thing that would save the world. There might be something inherent about them that would save the world. And I'll bet, because this is the Trigger story that Trigger tells, I'll bet that the people at Akasaka or whatever, or Arasaka, are in a misaligned way trying to save the world. I'll bet that they are. And whatever implant they're going to put in people, they think will save the world. And so they think that they can manipulate the individual into being the thing that they use for testing to do that, and they can subsume the individual and destroy the individual in order to produce a better collective. And I would guess that the implant is something like neuromind linking so that you're not one person anymore or something like that. Or like a groupthink chip or something along those lines. But I don't know. I'm just making it up. I haven't played the game. I don't know Arasaka. That's what I would put it as, because that's the Gynax idea. That's the Evangelion idea. That's the Kill la Kill idea with everybody becoming one and putting on the same uniforms and getting power through it. And then eventually the way that spirals out into the manipulation and the loss of control and the unification forcefully into this giant mega organism that's wrong, in a wrong way, right? I think that's what they're going to do. When David already has the innate individualist spirit that is the thing that will fix it. He's got the capacity to deal with the future, you might say. Or, in our real world, you might say that, well, maybe technology is the thing that takes us into the future. And maybe it takes us into a horrible future, but maybe it's the thing that takes us into the future. And maybe the previous generation doesn't have the ability to interface with technology in a way that will take them into the future. And maybe the current generation of crazy Zoomers actually do, because they're living half in a digital world, and they have been since they were 6 and they got their first iPhone. So they're living in a half-digital world, so they're more attuned to it. And maybe they have the thing innately that lets them attune to it more and not get destroyed by it. Because our society of us older folks, and we are older now. If you're an adult watching this, you're old now because people are getting old faster, which is weird, but it's kind of true. You're old now because technology moves faster. We old folks might not have the ability to interface with technology completely. It might be destroying us. And I think it is, but it doesn't seem to be destroying the Zoomers. Or maybe it is, but they seem to have the resilience to deal with it, or at least to change. I think this is a fundamental question. It's that individual who stood up against the system might have the things that the system needs to survive. So let's go and kill him and steal them, is the idea, and that's the wrong idea. It's the wrong idea. It's actually the same idea that's in Joss Whedon's show Firefly. Almost exactly, is that there's this girl, River, who's been experimented on by some people because they think that she could be like psychic or the next generation of human, and they're trying to capture her so that they can take her and basically kill her, cut her up, and figure out what's different about her so they can apply it to more people, instead of letting her live her life and letting her potentially figure out the solutions to the future and the problems that are a part of the future herself, which is the thing that we do in Serenity, the movie, is that River Tam is the one who saves the day because she knows what's going on and because she's free and because we don't understand her and we don't try too hard, at least we don't cut her open. So this is a repetitive story of the individual brings the change that the society needs, but then gets rejected and they try to subsume them into the society. It's Ryuko Matoi standing up against Honoji Gakuen. And it's Simone standing up against the ethereal greatness or the spiral king and all of that stuff. It's the same thing, and they try to bring you into it, and they try to Luke father and son you and bring you into the system, and you're a prime candidate for the next generation of the thing, and the individual says fuck you. Fuck you, and they're right to say fuck you, because getting totally co-opted and subsumed by the system is not the way to create actual change. And Arasaka, whatever they're aligned toward, it isn't the right alignment, because they're going to do it from the top down instead of from the bottom up, and change on a social level happens from the bottom up, mirrored by laws that start from the bottom up, because we use a common law system, and common law systems organize their laws from the bottom up, not the top down. And if you think we live in a top-down legal system, you're wrong, and you don't understand the history of democratic nations. And you need to go and read John Locke, and you need to go and read John Stuart Mill, and you need to understand the basic fundamental ideas of why we are the way that we are. And you need to read the Federalist Papers, where some of the greatest thinkers of the period of the American Revolution and the French Revolution put their heads together, and Benjamin Franklin, who was a very much a friend to France in a lot of ways, put together a bunch of ideas about the way that societies should be based on the way that societies work, and organized a descriptive relationship of what makes societies work well, and they tried to institute that at all levels, and it made the most functional society that we've ever had, that has all sorts of flaws, but it's the most functional society that we've ever had. And then every other functional society since then has been modeled off of that model of American democracy. Every nation in Europe uses an American-style democracy. Canada uses an American-style democracy. All primary Western developed nations use an American-style democracy, and there's a reason for it. It works to some extent. So it's like something about the system is good too. And the change starts from the bottom up, not the top down. And if you try to institute a fundamental social change from the top down, you're going to end up murdering a lot of people, the way the communists did and the way the National Socialist Party of Germany did. They murdered a lot of people. So maybe going from the top down ain't it. Maybe going from the bottom up might be. Summon him, lure him with promises of financial aid. I love this. I love this. I love that they think immediately that money is the way to get him to do what you want, because it's true. Well, just put him in enough restriction that we make him do whatever he wants. There's a line, this is again from a Joss Whedon show, at the beginning of Dollhouse. They're going around, and it's a fake interview scene. They're in the streets of Hollywood, and they're interviewing people, and they're interviewing them about the idea of the dollhouse. And the idea of the dollhouse is it's a place where people sign away their rights for a period of time, and they get their mind wiped, and they can implant them with any personality. So they come out being a dominatrix, or they come out being a tutor, or they come out being a crime scene investigator, or they come out being a super spy, and they're different every time, and they don't know. And they interview one woman in the fake interview, and she's like a large person of color, large black lady, and she goes, Man, the only reason that you would choose to be a slave is because you is one already. And that's the truth, isn't it? The only reason you'd choose wage slavery is because you're already a slave to hunger. And you are. And there's no getting around it. You are a slave to hunger. And you are a slave to the things that you feel like you need. And a lot of people in this world are a slave to their lusts and to pleasures. And so they're willing to enslave themselves to these corporations so that they can fulfill their enslavement to the things that they need. But you are a slave to hunger, and you are a slave to certain biological needs. You need shelter, and you need community, and you are enslaved by those. You are controlled by those needs, and if you go outside them, you die. If you try to go outside of society and live alone for a while, you're going to die on the inside. If you try to go without food, you're going to die. If you go without water, you're going to die. If you go without air, you're going to die. You're enslaved by these things. You have no control. And so you're willing to enslave yourself to work a wage slavery or the horrors of this world because you're already a slave. But then the idea here is all we have to do to get somebody to do what we want is make their life miserable enough that they'll do anything for money. Just put them in a situation where they can't pay for their laundry, or for a funeral for their mom, or for their rent, or for their food, or for their water, and now they're a slave to us because they need our money, and we win. So, well, David's got a bunch of debt. Well, good, he's already our slave. Just tell him that we'll give him a carrot. Just tell him that we'll give him a carrot if he comes and joins us. And he'll do what we say. Easy peasy. Well, maybe David's not that weak. We'll see. We'll see. And then we get this guy saying something else, which is corrupt and familially corrupt. I say this pretty often. You can tell a lot about villains when based on how they treat their underlings. And you can especially tell a lot about a father villain based on how he treats his children. Because children are supposed to be loved. And he says, this kid, he must serve the company's best interests. I don't serve him, he serves me. And that's a master-slave relationship in fatherhood. And it's like the relationship that I had with my father. So it echoes to me. It's like, ooh, there's something there. This is some interesting stuff. And what do we say about corrupt societies is that they are corrupt at every level of the fractal. Everyone is exploiting everyone at every level. The people at the very top exploit everyone. The people just above you exploit you. And you look to exploit anyone you can, including your kids. And people do this all the time with their kids. People who feel like they're exploited in their jobs and their work feel like exploitation is the nature of things, and so they exploit their kids. Because the kids are innocent and exploitable and manipulable. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Or they become bullies, right? You know, what is a bully doing? Well, they feel like they have no power in their household because their dad beats them. So they look for somebody to have power over and they beat them. They fractal out the pain that they're experiencing. They try to demonstrate their own power in the only way of demonstrating power that they've been shown. And so this guy demonstrates that same power over his son instead of any kind of anything. And so what does his son learn? He learns to be a bully and to demonstrate power over other people. And when his father says, you're not good enough, serve the company's best interests, he turns to David and he says, you're not good enough, serve the culture's best interests. And it's an echo of exactly the statements that he's probably heard for his entire life from his father. And that's not saying that it's not Katsuo's fault, because he's an active part of the system, but it's also how much of it is nature and how much of it is nurture. And if he had been born on a farm, would Katsuo be a human, like a human being? Probably has the capacity to be good. Doesn't exploit it, doesn't use it. I love how he just wipes the thing off when it's going to say like you've been invited to come back in. Really, really funny. We see him in the shower. This is a classical scene. Seeing you in the shower, it's you cleaning yourself off. It's you getting geared up and ready. And we see that he's not the same person anymore. He's got the tech in him. But he's the same person still. Nothing has changed. We were in this exact scene before, in front of this laundry before. And this is the bloodstain coming off, but he's been here before, and he's no happier. He got a little bit of power, and it didn't work. He beat up his bully, and he's not free. Right on the money. Right on the money, because you pursue those catharses, and they don't work. Because you haven't changed. He still comes back to his apartment. He hasn't changed. And it's darker. He's darker than ever. So he wanders around town again through the same scenes again, and he's hesitant throughout it. It's kind of like, well, what's the point of any of this anymore? Why even take this leap? That he was quite okay with taking this leap before. And he's just falling into the same patterns of behavior that he fell into before. And he's like, gosh, something's wrong there. I made this dramatic change in my life. Why hasn't my life changed? Well, because it takes effort, continued pain. Huh. And he goes through these locations. And again, these are the locations that remind me of Monogatari. There's this disconnect between David and the environment. And it's correct. And he sits around in the midst of all of this chaos and this awfulness. He just sits there and he lets people talk to him and he lets people drone on. And then a reflection in the window passes by. And I just want to say, so this is about accurate to my experience of seeing really beautiful women at the gym or somewhere. It's like glimpse, whoa. Glimpse of something enticing. We've seen it before. It's the hair, right? Something enticing. What? He looks up from his reverie, from his abyss gazing. And there she is. Down the hallway, hiding behind people. She is ultra femme. Ultra femme. Lots of curves. Very hip dominant. All hips. Very sexy and knowledgeable of it, and I really like her character design partly because it does titillate me. It I go, whoa, sexy girls, and that's true. That happens to me, and I would broadly generalize that that happens to most of the men watching the show. You go, damn, and I know that it has because I brought up Cyberpunk to a friend. And he was like, oh, I've seen a lot of porn of that, and I was like, wow, okay, that makes sense because there are some hot ladies in here and some pornographic content itself in the show. So some people are going to get sexed up when they watch this, and they're going to go try to deal with that, you know? Or the artists are going to be inspired by it, but she is something else. She stands out in this world, and part of that is that she's transcendently colored. She's got these pastels that are different than all of the colors in our world. We got a lot of primaries, and she's pastel. Like, pastel is like mixed with white or mixed with a different color, right? And so she's a mix of things, and she's wearing white and black and skin, and she's kind of almost nude, right? Because she's showing herself, and so that's Ryuko. She's nude, she's honest, even though she's a liar. So that's cool. That's interesting that that's the way that goes. She's sort of nude and sort of honest in her sexuality, at least, right? And it doesn't feel overbearing. It feels very confident and very correct and very serious. She emblematizes a lot of stuff just in her first frames of view. And part of it is that her posture is so thoughtful and contemplative and confident. She's got her hip cocked and she's standing in a way that's right, that's very human and very feminine, and whoop, and you almost don't catch it. And she's gone. He goes, wait, what? Weird. Zip, zip, zip. And then she chooses him as a mark. Nope. He burns through, catches her, and immediately she goes, oh. Huh? Interesting. You're different, come with me. I've got a thought about this. I'm going to relate this to what I have observed from guys at the gym. Again, a broad generalization, but what I have observed is that when a beautiful girl walks into the gym, conventionally attractive or whatever, they start tripping over themselves to try to figure out a way to get near her, stay near her, and help her with anything, and talk with her if they can. And then once they've talked with her, they mean mug and make a mean face at all the other guys in the gym who look anywhere near that girl. Because that's like, oh, she's mine. Guys are fucked up and weird, okay? So, yeah, and I mean that as a broad generalization, but hey, guys, you think you're not fucked up and weird? Do you actually think you're not fucked up and weird? You're wrong. You're an animal. Are you joking? Are you joking? I know there are a couple of ace people who are watching this, and they get a free pass, but everybody else, if you've got an active sexuality, you're fucked up and weird. You don't have to be embarrassed about that. Everybody's fucked up and weird. And I said this elsewhere, but like, go find FetLife and find a kink community and figure out what you're actually up to. But guys start tripping over themselves, you know, like sacrificing themselves in order to give the girl what they want. And I think beautiful women are broadly, generally, very used to getting what they want. And I think one way that you can get the attention of a beautiful woman, if you want to, which you might, because you might want to align yourself with something about the world, which is that you're attracted to beauty. You might want to fulfill that in the best way that you can. One way to do that is to not let her have everything that she wants. Because she might respect you if you don't. So David reaches out and goes, hey, I see you. I see you stealing and manipulating. The fuck is that about? What's up with that? And questions her, essentially. Hey, you can't just do that to me. It's like okay, so here's a hypothetical. If I was lifting with a barbell, and I walked away from it for a couple of minutes, and a guy walked over and started moving toward the barbell and started picking it up, I'd go, hey man, whoa, that's mine. If a really pretty girl did that, I'd be more reluctant to go, hey there, sorry, I'm using that. Be more reluctant. I think a lot of guys just let the girl take the bar and are like, oh, well shit, I guess I'll wait for another barbell. And that's not right, because she's acting in a way that's incorrect, right? She's taking a thing that you're using, and she's not demonstrating proper, and you're not demonstrating proper communication, but she's not demonstrating proper, like, awareness of the situation, or awareness that other people might be using a thing. And so you have to say no. And you saying no might make her go, what? When you just ignoring the situation and be like, well, I guess the pretty girl gets the thing that I need. Wah. She's better than me, I suppose. Might be stupid. This is cool from David, and it works. Stop. Huh? Her character design, face paint, the lipstick, the eyes at angles, the blue and the red, the multi-layered colors in her eyes. She is gorgeous. She might be one of my favorite character designs in a Trigger show so far. Even after just one episode, her design is fantastic. I will say I didn't like her voice actress at first, and I'll watch parts of this episode in the sub to hear what she sounds like as, because it's Ayuki, right? I think so. I don't know enough to know, but I didn't like her voice actress much, but it grew on me as we went through, so I'm fine with it. Basically, I have the problem with her that I have with a lot of female American voice actors, which is that they just seem to be trying to sound real smooth and sexy without caring what the character is actually thinking or doing. So we stop, pull out, come with me, let's go. And immediately she is a you're coming with me type of character. She's already on a path and she's dragging you along with. And you're an idiot guy, and so you're gonna go along with it. It's like Yoko dropping in Gurren Lagann and just being like, hey, I know what's up and everybody follow me. It's kind of here. It's kind of here. And Yoko showing them the surface is similar to her showing the moon, right? Because it's like, this is the dream, and it could be real, and the feminine is what reveals that to the masculine very often. Very often, in broad generalizations, in broad terms, it seems like girls and women have some of their shit figured out more than men do. I have a theory about that, and it's a dumb theory, and it's probably wrong, but I think it's because they've got 2 X chromosomes, and we have an X and a Y, and the Y is less consistent and less in balance, and so we're more chaotic. We're more out of balance than women are. I think. At least I guess. Because I think we're really fractals on a fundamental level of our biological geometry. And in fact, we know this. You are a material representation of your genes. Exactly. 100, like all of you is. And there are things about that we don't understand. It's more complicated than we understand. But we know that your genetic code determines how you are to a large degree. That's interesting. So I think broadly, men are more chaotic than women. And women have more of their shit figured out because they have actually more genetic code, which means more of it's locked in and is correct. But also it's in balance. It's in an X, which is in balance, as opposed to a Y, which is not in perfect balance, not vertically, not in one direction, right? It's not four-way symmetries. It's less symmetrical, and so it's more chaotic a little bit. And so maybe we can see the underlying truth is sometimes they get revealed to us through women sometimes. It's a pretty common story where the guy doesn't have his life figured out, and then he meets the girl and he figures his life out for the girl and for their like shared dream. She shows him a dream. That's what this is. She pulls him along for the work part. They discover that they're capable of working together, kind of. She shows him a dream, but she's manipulating him. So I don't know how to put that into place yet, because it's more complicated than this, because she's way more complicated than David takes her at. He takes her at face value, is like, oh, you're just a petty thief. I'll work with you. And that ain't it. I'd say you were a pig socket. Is that a whore? I think that might be a whore. I'm gonna look it up. Pig socket cyberpunk. Bunch of quotes. So, well, a socket is the chipware socket. I say you were a pig socket. Like you're socketed with a... I don't know. So what, you're going to put cuffs on me? Because he looks like he's government. Because he's wearing the medical thing, at least a little bit. And she puts hands on him. So, no compunctions, right? No fear from her. She's a confident woman. It reminds me of, in a weird way, I'm thinking of Alina Lise from Mushoku Tensei from the most recent episode, but that's sort of a silly comparison because she's nothing like her, but puts hands on him and he's deeply uncomfortable because he's pretending to be more comfortable than he is. She whips him around, and this should be our first indication that he's under her control here, and really she's manipulating him. Having moved him to the side of this car and all that jazz. But it's also, we're in this moment where we are empathizing with David, like in his body. And so as a man, I'm like, whoa, that's a woman pushing herself against me. That's something. It's like, that does something to your brain. Huh. And she's judging you as well. Huh, you're interesting. And she judges him as having potential. And she explains that she's got some principles. She only steals from the suits. Explains about the thing and releases her hold around his neck. And so off the two of us go to do things ourselves. We negotiate a cut, and it's brutal, but of course, this is all a scam. This is all a scam, because the negotiated cut doesn't matter. All she wants is for him to spend enough time with her that he trusts her enough to come into this virtual space with her, and then they can steal the cyberware that he's got. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. This stop and turn so that we get face to face, and we get, again, she's all hip. I mean, really, she's built as all hips, and it's gorgeous. I love women. Fuck, man. Like, really. I'm Lucy, and she is Lucy, and we've met her, and she is something else, and David doesn't know what to do it. So they start to engage in this mutualistic, hey, we're doing the game together now. We're dancing, playing the game together. And the game is fuck with these suits and undermine the system and use your powers and experiment and show off a bit, and it's pretty cool. We end up talking it out, and of course, we realize that he is fucked. He is all fucked up, and he doesn't know about the pills. You fucking idiot. And of course, no chance we're taking you to the hospital. We're scavenging this kid. This stuff is worthwhile. And she goes, well, sorry, I guess I'm not going to pay you everything. And so she moves. And we get to see her wildness. And this is just like Yoko, with the gun swinging around, being joyful and experiencing herself and her confidence and her abilities. And it's cool. And it's also a little scary, right? When you see a girl throw herself into something, you're like, wow, I'm really attracted to you, but you're fucking nuts. You're a little crazy. And that's a little bit compelling, too. That little bit of crazy is like, wow, there's something cool there. It's better than all the fuckers sitting on the side of the streets doing nothing. She's smiling. She's enjoying life. She's got some shit figured out. At least a little bit. And maybe David could have a part of it, because his life is sitting in front of the washing machine going, and maybe he needs somebody who's like, woohoo, to balance that out and give him some life. So we get this cool, really sweet, sick scene. Bam, bam, leaps on top. This is Ava, by the way, right? That's the scene from Evangelion where the big the mech goes rah and eats. This is that scene. It's also parodied in a number of other places, but it's parodied in Dragon Maid. This is that scene. It's the same scene. And she is scary in this moment and predatory in this moment. We see her teeth and her eyes looking down. She is predatory in this moment. Hey, we're about to do a thing. Whoop. And we drop out. And we're doing the thing, and it's hypersexualized. This is a sex encounter in a lot of ways. David's laying down restrained, and she's on top of him in a sexual position, and we don't shy away from showing that, but she's living. She's not thinking about herself or whether people are staring at her butt. She's trying to stay alive, and she's doing the thing, and it's pretty cool. And we do stare at her butt, and it's a nice butt to stare at, and I'm okay with that. I got no problems here. But what we stare at, what David stares at is her face and her expressions and her eyes that are so close to him that he can almost touch them, and her joy, and it's like, what the fuck is that? It's the first light, emotional human light that we've seen. And it's also, she seems to be putting herself in some danger to save another person. So there's like this heroism to it. And she's protecting him a little bit when he can't protect himself, and there's some heroism to it. She's fucking cool, man. And she's really hot. What? And she's skating backward on a gurney down a freeway at hyperspeed, and he's looking up and he's seeing shooting stars go by, essentially. The future, the impossible, the endless beyond. And when he's looking up at, dink, dink, his eyes are open to a new type of being. To her, to a type of being with her. And this is why she looks aside, closes, opens. Brilliant. Brilliant. Lark, in the Busters, there are so many elements of her design and her features that are built into Trigger history and built into Gainax history. She's a good symbol of what they've built as a type of feminine. Because she's got her shit together, and she fucks over the main character a little bit, and she's capable of manipulating people, and she's strong, and she's smart, and she's gorgeous, and she knows it, and she knows how to use it, and she knows how to protect herself when other people try to use it against her. All of these things that I can extrapolate just from her joyous insanity. Because she is joyously insane, and she knows how to control herself, and he's looking up at her with this look on his face like, what the fuck are you again? But there's this shine in his eyes because she's something else. Oops. Well, that's a problem when we take him to the Ripper Doc. We start explaining it. So this is what's up. Don't need the meds. And why didn't he give him the meds? Because he wanted him to die so that he could steal his fucking stuff. It's the same reason doctors do give you meds in the United States. They give you meds so that you fucking die and they can take all your stuff. Not really, but it's so that you stay sick, it seems. And need to keep coming back. It's a cynical viewpoint on our pharmaceutical and doctor system because there are good doctors and a lot of them mean well. But man, the companies that they're a systemic part of do not mean well. They mean profit. And they don't recognize that the system is more profitable long term if they don't kill a bunch of people. Ain't running no charity, choom, 2 days for a day's work, right? And that's it. You put in a day's work and you get 2 days of life out of it. Welcome to the world. That's the world. That's reality. That's reality. And it's not capitalist reality, it's reality. If you don't put in a day's work building a farm, you're not going to live tomorrow. So you put in a day's work building a farm and you survive tomorrow. That's reality. That's not capitalism. That's entropy. That's the fact that you're a slave to food. Because you are. And now he's a slave to the transmitters. And now he's a slave to his own power. Because to keep it attached to him, he needs a drug that he needs to pay for constantly. And so that's a cool idea that I just had. By incorporating himself with authority and power, he's now a slave to it. He's now bound by it, and he has to alter the way of his existence, and it just got harder than he expected. It's not just easy. You can't just be like, well, I guess I'm going to get Spider-Man powers and not take the responsibility. Nope, you need the responsibility too, and partly that's a responsibility to yourself. So he's got a responsibility not to overuse his power because it kills him. He's got a responsibility not to overuse his power because it kills other people. He's got a responsibility to use it in a good way because he can use it. So what's the most effective? If you only get 2 doses a day, right? You only get 2 uses a day of your superpower. What's the best way that you could use it? Well, it's not wasting time beating up your bully. And so now he's restricted. And that's accurate. You've only got so much mental and physical energy every day. What do you use it on? That determines your future. It determines your whole life because it's what you're focused on. So you need a goal to figure out what's worth focusing on and using your mental and physical energy for every day. And then you need to do everything you can to support your mental and physical energy so that you can achieve as many goals as possible. Something like that. So he gives him finally some advice, a little bit. This Ripper Doc does not want to give him his advice. He's loath to do it. He wants to hurt him, kind of. He kind of wants to prove to him that he's dead, that he's a fool. But he gives him the advice because he doesn't really want to see him kill himself. 2 a day, no more. Be careful, you've got a restriction. And that's correct. A lot of anime characters, a lot of characters have a limit on them. It's like, you can't use your power more than this. And we're going to get to a point where he's already used it 3 times in a day, and he goes, it's more important that I do this thing, right? A person's going to die or something. It's more important that I do this thing than that I save myself. And so David is going to go past his limits, and he might find out that his limits are broader than he's been told. that they're a lie, and he might actually destroy himself in order to help other people. And either one would be very interesting. Oh, speaking of very interesting, he's wearing both the cross and the key, and that's pretty important. I've mentioned that I think that's important, and we'll see if we end up focusing on it later. Don't fuck around or it'll scramble your brain. It's power. It's an important thing. And you'd better believe it for me. Because no one else is going to tell you. Look at this cool logo. I wonder what that is. It looks military. The 6th, the brigade, like some kind of a brigade. It's also American, right? It's an American flag skull with a barbed wire around the head. There's some interesting fucked symbolism here. The 6 is on the inside and it has wings, but the skull has barbed wire around it. The flag is behind the skull. It's been sublimated. The stars are not out properly. Like, the American flag is a correct symbol in a lot of ways. It's unity and duality. It's transcendent stars of each state being aligned together on one field of blue, being an inset portion of the grander unity and duality of the stripes. And there are a certain number of stripes and they mean things. And there are a certain number of stars and they mean things. And there's a reason that our flag is the way that it is. And there's a reason it's not that. Because that's a deadly flag. That's a bad symbol. And bad symbols exist. You know? Bad symbols exist. You want proof that bad symbols exist? The Nazis took the symbol of creative progress and change, they flipped it, and then they destroyed. They flipped the symbol and made a bad symbol, the opposite symbol of the Buddhist symbol of peace and change, of flow. They flipped it, and they turned the flow the other way so that it's destructive instead of progressive. Bad symbols exist, and be careful of them. The thin blue line symbols are bad symbols, for example. Also, all cops are bastards is a bad symbolic representation of the movement that it's supposed to represent. It's bad, because it's wrong. It's not true. You know that it's not true when you say it. Say it out loud and tell me that there's not a lie inherent in it. It's a lie. It can't be true. All X are Y is almost never true. It's like when I say, men broadly and generally seem to do this. What I really mean is something close to almost all men do X, Y, Z, but that's wrong to say it. Fundamentally, by the structure of the statement, it's wrong, because there is always an exception, and that exception to some extent proves the rule. But the rule should include the exception, so it should be generally broadly speaking, right? Or something along the lines of generally broadly speaking, our police force is corrupt. We are accurate. All cops are bastards. I don't know. Maybe a symbol that shouldn't be there, right? But then the thin blue line, which is like the thin blue line idea is like all cops should be protected no matter what, and that's not it either, because cops are people and they're not above the law, so it's a bad symbol. And this is like a Punisher skull on top of a blue-red with a barbed wire taking the place of the allegorical crown of thorns. It's not the crown of thorns that pokes you and hurts you, which makes you king, which is the Christian idea there. It's that taking on pain makes you, being king makes you hurt, you might say. Being a leader makes you hurt. Instead, it's a wall. It's keep out the enemy outside of your brain so that your brain is only the one brain. It's the 6th, and you got no other ideas except America and death. Well, that's wrong. It's wrong. It's a bad symbol. And good job making a bad symbol, Trigger, because it's not the easiest thing in the world. So we talk it out, chat it out. He's desperate to push for this, right? And he's also a little miffed out and a little weird after this situation. He's desperate to push for it. That's the spirit. And he's pushing for it. He wants more money. And she says, no, let me take you somewhere. So we go somewhere. We cut through the city, through the cyberscape, and these beautiful cityscapes, right? Beautiful city. To her apartment. And he's all nervous about it because it is his first time being at a girl's apartment. He's like, no, I've totally done this before. I know all these things. Totally. And why? Well, because he lives in a world where people by the time they're 13 have probably fucked 10 digital girls, right? That's probably not correct. And David seems like the kind of person who hasn't. Like, he's done the porn thing, for sure. But that's not reality. And he knows it. And so he's embarrassed about it because he hasn't actually been in a reality. And she's got a sort of fucked up place that's cool, but it's also sort of fucked up. Brosif Brewing Company is awesome. Sort of Sam Adams-y, and it's got this fist bump on it. Hey, we're bros, and that's the clink of the bottles as well. And that's cool, from Boston, Massachusetts. Established 2042. Wow, what a thing. That's so cool. But it's like Well, a lot of those sort of more experienced woman characters, like Yoko is a more experienced woman than Kamina is with women, or than Simone is with women, and she's got this room that's or this way of being that's a certain way and is kind of crazy. And then in Gainax, in Evangelion, the dark hair, blue hair woman, because that's the archetype that I think we're going for here. Misato Katsuragi is who I'm talking about. Who is sexy, knows more than you, and has this sort of a living space. Similar type of character, but Misato's only falsely a love interest for Shinji because he's just looking for an Oedipal mother, really, like, is the idea there, I think. So this is a character who is not just an Oedipal mother because his mother is dead, but who is a peer in woman that he sees, which is what you want in a woman that you see. He has no idea how to beer, and she's laughing at him. She's also very comfortable with her physicality and with being close to him, and it demonstrates itself throughout this, and I love the fan that spins. It's really cool. Just do it. Take it off. Just do it. Come on. And she's messing with the stuff, and she puts the Edgerunners logo onto his thing, which is cool. Edgerunners in multiple fonts, right? We're a mixed blend of a bunch of different things that are constantly shifting. Okay. Cool. It's who you want to be. It's cyberpunk. It is the thing. It's who you want to be. Oh, the Edgerunner series. Yeah, that is pretty rad. It is what I want to be. And we get this moment, which is where she takes off his jacket. And this is the sexiest damn scene that I've seen in a while. And I watched an episode of Mushoku Tensei the other day that was about sex. And this is the sexiest thing that I've seen in a while. I mean, they're accenting her breasts, but so is she. But the act of a woman taking her overcoat off and like revealing a dress underneath or something like that. Wow, that does something to my animal. Like, I'm an animal, and I'm also a deity, right? I'm a conscious entity, and I'm also not a conscious entity. And the unconscious part of me goes, my God, I want that. Holy shit. And I mean, wow, what a scene. And we come down to the hip. And he looks over and he calls it a gonk poster, like it's dumb and stupid. And immediately we get her judgment of that. So what's the poster? It's a person pointing to the new life, to the future, pointing up above, doing the Gurren Lagann thing, and a rocket taking off, and a cross of light intersecting. It's like, that's the symbol of Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. Broadly. That's the sunrise pose with the robot pointing out, or the robot with the gun. That's the sunrise pose. And then it's the Gurren Lagann up to the moon sort of thing with the crosses. It's perfect. It's actually perfect, and it's correct. And she knows that something about that dreaming is correct. And so when he insults it and dismisses it, she drops. Her face falls. She's not willing to broker dispute about that. Got a fucking problem with my dreams? And he doesn't really realize this. He just goes, I don't know. It just seems weird that people are talking so much about this dumb penal colony on the moon. It's like, God, it's so stupid that people are trying to get off to a better place. Because it ended up not being a better place. It's like, well, yeah, but it's the idea. It's the idea. You know, people on the East Coast, and you can say what you want about Manifest Destiny. I don't agree with Manifest Destiny. I think we stole a lot of this nation from the Native Americans, yada yada, very good. We understand that humanity is full of evil and death. Do we understand that humanity is full of evil and death? Can we know that and not dwell on it so much? Because we got to move forward. Like, we can't just get stuck dealing with the death that we've already caused. We have to be aware of it and use it to inform our future. And if we spend all our energy trying to reconcile stuff that's already happened, we can't move into the future, and we can't move past it. But anyway, those people on the East Coast, they moved toward the West. They did the pioneer thing because they thought maybe there'll be a better future out in this untamed, unknown land. And there were a bunch of ads that made it seem like a paradise out there, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It was hell, and people died, and that's the Oregon Trail. You die of dysentery, rip. You run out of food, rip. You die. People die all the time, or they set up an establishment and then they die, or they set up a mine and they don't find gold and they die, and they get fucked by the system because they're pioneers going to a place that they don't know. And it ends up being exploitative, and a lot of those mining camps ended up being kind of like prison camps and really, really bad. And a lot of people a lot of racist shit happened as they built railroads and stuff too, and forced people of different races to work because we didn't have our racism fixed. But the idea of going to somewhere else to start a better future is the correct idea. It's the idea that brought the Pilgrims to America and started the nation that became a better nation and is a paradise compared to what was going on in Europe when the Puritans left Europe, essentially. Like, they found it terrifying, so they went and were like, we're going to start our own country with hookers and blow, or actually, more accurately, without hookers and blow. And then they did, and it sort of fumbled around for a while, and eventually it blossomed into utopia. They just didn't get to live to see it. And the same might be said of the people who are colonizing the moon. Maybe all of their work will be worthless to them, but in 100 years there will be a utopia on the moon that isn't like Night City. Maybe. This is an idea that's present deeply in Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars trilogy, Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars, which is about the colonization of Mars. This is a book that's at least a decade old and solidly deals with some of the science and the interest and the philosophies of colonization and colonization in general, because, well, Mars is a planet out there that, as far as we know, doesn't have any people on it, and so we're not stealing it from any natives, and we're not murdering people, but there are people who still have the idea that it's wrong for humanity to spread because we're evil? And purely destructive? And so what? So we should all die? I don't think so. All those ads make it seem like some kind of a paradise when it wasn't, but it could be, because if you had had ads as the Pilgrims were like, come with us on the Mayflower, we're going to a new nation, it'll be different. Put out ads for that. It's like, our new nation will be a paradise of freedom, and you get there and it's a wild wilderness that kills you and eats you, and there are Native Americans, they kill you and they hurt you. And maybe you try to deal with them, but mostly you kill them and then they kill you back. And it's not paradise, it's conflict still, it's bad. But the dream of that paradise has manifested itself in the nation that has come later. The dream was correct, and believing in dreams is not wrong. And this is a girl who's a deep cynic, because she betrays him at the end, right? They form this bond of trust, and it's legitimate, and it's all a lie, and she betrays it. So she's a deep cynic when it comes to people, and yet at her core, at her deepest core of cores, at her heart of hearts, she takes off the coat. And at her deepest core, and her heart of hearts, she wants to believe in dreams. And David is going to be the character that makes that possible for her. I'm going to say something that you're going to find sexist. Sleeping Beauty is one of the fundamental female mythoses. I've said before that I need to investigate the female mythoses more. Sleeping Beauty is one of them. The feminine who believes in dreams so much that she is cursed as well, but that she is cursed to fall asleep until she's awakened by radical masculinity or something like that. That's a fundamental female mythos. This is that character. She believes in the dream of the future, but she's not acting it out because she has to remain asleep. She has to keep that part of her asleep, otherwise she'll be sad all the time, and she won't be able to survive. So she keeps it asleep, and David might be able to reawaken it in her. And how cool would that be? She says, begging your pardon, prep boy, and sort of deflects. He explains himself and his world, how they tried to force him to be a part of it. And she feels for him, I think, legitimately. Or maybe she's just listening. And she says, it's not your dream, though. You need to dream your own dream. And that's the truth. That's the truth, because you're living a story no matter what you do, and it's probably someone else's story unless you've written it for yourself. And you need to determine your own story, because otherwise you don't know what story you're living in. At least you need to know what story you're living in, because it might be a tragedy. And maybe you should change some things about it so that it doesn't become an inevitable tragedy. Because you can tell a tragedy at the beginning. A little bit. You can tell where it's going, and you know. So if you knew that your life is currently on the road to tragedy, you could avert that. And if you're following someone else's dream, and their dreams are tragic, or destructive, or evil, you need to know that. It's not your dream, though, is it? She's actually actively invading his space as she does this, right? Because she's invading his mind with these ideas that he hasn't had for himself. You and your mom are different people. Why should your dream be her dream? Well, why should you work to achieve her dream? That's a very liberal perspective. A very nothing matters, family doesn't matter perspective. And it is kind of my perspective, and I mentioned this. I had to iron this out with my roommate in college because he was doing everything for his mom, and he wasn't wrong to do so. And I only realized it now when my roommate now has a son, and he's sublimating all of his own desires to provide for the son. It's like, no, it's reasonable to sacrifice yourself for another person, but you got to make sure that you're worth it and that they're worth it. Why should you work to achieve her dream? And he says, actually, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think he's right. It's like, hey, you actually can't criticize me for working to achieve my mom's dream. Her dream might have been wrong, but my instinct was not. And she has wrapped herself around him. And this is a very sexual scene, right? We see her sex bits literally, right? This is a sex pose. Literally. But it's also just a comfortable, normal pose. Because she's comfortable with herself in a way that maybe David isn't comfortable seeing her, and maybe we're not comfortable seeing her. There's nothing wrong with that. She says you need to find your own dream.
Find your own dream.
Sounds to me like you already found.
And he comes back, sounds to me like you already found yours in that. Yeah, I suppose, maybe. She says to me, you called it a prison camp, but this city's a whole lot worse. That dream, that future where people are working hard and dying in a prison camp to make a potential future seems better than this dog-eat-dog bullshit that we got going on, where all we seem to be spiraling toward is destruction. Isn't that interesting and correct? And she invites him in, and they pop open Your New Life Awaits, because it's a chip that they share, but it's a condom. And they're on a pink bed because this is a love hotel. And it's a round bed because this is a love hotel. And they're under this pink refractive light because it's a love hotel. And it's sexual. This is sex. This is a meeting of minds and bodies. But it's sex without sex. This is a sharing of ideas greater than ideas. And he's amazed by this world that she shows him. She shows him the world outside the underground in Gurren Lagann. She shows it to him, and it's there, and he's leaping around, and she's laughing at him, and they are in harmony. And we do this moment as they're bouncing and dancing, and I think it's dancing. They're learning to dance in unison. It's so heartfelt and warm and beautiful as their footsteps march together in the sand, right? Or in the dust of the moon, and they walk past all these things, and they try stuff, and he watches her, right? He's looking at her, and he's looking at her beckoning. Come on, come on, come on, come on. He begins to reach out, and she knows it, and she snaps out and grabs him, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. One of my favorite songs is Walk the Moon, Shut Up and Dance. Because there's this line, shut up and dance with me. And it's like, that's what the feminine does, is she's already dancing. And that's what, for me, that's what I think the feminine does. And I don't know because I'm not it. But how I want to relate to the feminine is I want to relate to the feminine that pulls me into her world and is capable of seeing mine and willing to, and we can share. But when I make the move to reach out, I want her to meet me halfway and pull me in. And maybe you want that too, and maybe that's why this scene is so compelling to me. Come, come, come. And he reaches out and she grabs him and he's shocked and pulls him out into the sky. E.T. up in front of the moon is this scene. This is freedom. Unexpected and out beyond you. Freedom. Wow. She's showing you and she's in position. She knows what she's doing and she's confident. And her face is together and her smile is together and she's angled and she's direct and she knows what she's doing. And her face falls down into here. We drive around, rumbling around, just having fun. And she shows him her favorite things. And they share an indirect kiss through this gravity bubbly. I don't get why he, spits it out. I guess because he's not used to it, probably. But whatever. They sit at the edge of this crater between the abyss and the infinite. And it's here on the edge that she shares herself with him. Her space with him. Her dream with him.
Felt right.
Why me? Don't know. I guess it just felt right. And she's not lying, but she's lying. I think it felt right too. Hey, buddy. It wasn't right. And we see these guys up in the poster, okay? So these are the squad. And they're gonna be our friends. But right now they're gonna try to kill you and rip that wetware out of you. And she brought them in. And she betrayed you because she's a spider too. And I think that's something that you need in a To be a woman like this in the world, you need to be a little bit of a spider, a little bit of a snake, and a little bit willing to cause harm. But we know that this is harmful, and she's wrong for doing this, and it hurts us. And man, they did a good job, because I said before that it feels genuine and pure and warm and fuzzy when they're floating around, jumping around like that. And it really does. And it wouldn't stick it to us so much when we get betrayed if it didn't. And betrayal's a big deal. And this is the first person that he's trusted, even a little bit, ever. And it's like days after his mom died because of people he doesn't trust. And the only other person he's ever trusted was his mom. And now he puts some faith into this person. She immediately spits on it. So have fun figuring out your worldview, David. Have fun with that shit and those mixed messages. Because he met the dream. His dream is her. And he can see the dreams through her. He can see the dream of the future through her. He doesn't agree with it, but she shows it to him and he sees it. Wham! Up to the sky, and the rocket takes off toward the moon. And that's where he's going too. He just doesn't know it yet. Cyberpunk, and we get our ED. And the ED's cool. I mean, it's just moving through space, and it's her moving through space, and it's her walk, and it's her face, and she is so sexy. I mean, the amount of angles and lines put into her sex bits, again, is a lot, and it like draws my eye as a man a lot, and she is compelling as an idea and as a woman, even before she's nude like this. But here, even, she's twisted into fractal twists as she's going. It's like, this is perfection. And these are scenes, this is Ghost in the Shell as well. This is major, and it's correct, and it's right. And she is beautiful and sexual and angry and screaming and real and running and hurting and a person and nude and honest and clothed and a liar. And she's the most interesting character, female or otherwise, that I've seen in a long time. And this episode is dedicated to her. And what a worthwhile thing to dedicate an episode to, is this really interesting female character that serves as our foil and our dichotomy and our love interest and our other half and our half brain for our main character and for our show and for the vehicle of our show moving forward. We're going to meet the squad next episode. It's going to be like JoJo's Meet the Squad. And it's going to be weird, but we're going to meet them, and we're going to find out what they're about and what the Edgerunners actually do and what our goals for this overall little society that we're about to be a part of, that David's just got stuck into, are going to be part of. And we're going to start offsetting that with what goes on in the corporos, right? And how all these things work. And that's fucking rad. This episode is dope. I liked it a lot, and I'm going to move on from there because time. Thanks so much for watching this episode. I'm sorry about the rambling at the beginning. I hope it was worthwhile to some extent. I'm going to go through it and I'll cut parts of it out, but mostly I want to keep all these discussions intact because they're organic and they're interesting, I think. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, please give me money on Patreon, or at least consider it, or at least drop a like and a subscribe and a comment, because those help with the algorithm and the videos getting out to more people, and maybe some of those people will be willing and able to support me. I love you all. Whether you support me or not is irrelevant. You're humans, and so you are deserving of love, and I love you. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for your time, because you dedicating the time to even watch this and watch some idiot weeb, which is who I am. I am a weeaboo who drinks tea, and I'm getting more distant from that because I'm fixing some things in myself. And so I'm becoming more distant from some of my core audience, who are the people who are alone and isolated, and who are hikikomoris, because I'm not quite a hikikomori anymore. I used to be. So I need to be aware of where I came from, and I love all of you. Whether you're working for yourself to improve yourself, or if you haven't gotten there yet, because I know that a lot of you haven't gotten there yet, and that's okay. It's okay, we'll get you there. There's hope for you, and there's hope for me, and there's hope for all of us. And there's a dream of a better future, even if it's corrupt and horrible. Even if it's corrupt and horrible, there's a dream that maybe if you plant trees now, the next generation or the generation after them or the generation after them will get to enjoy their shade, and they'll get to enjoy a world that has trees, because I think a world that has trees would be worthwhile. So I'm planting some emotional, logical, ethical, moral trees, I hope. And I hope that inspires you to do the same in your communities, because you have a community, even if you don't think you do. The people around you care about you, even if you don't think they do. Don't ever commit suicide. I love you. be as good as you can. Thank you. Peace.